What's up, troopers? We're back already. Mike, something happened today, and we had to declare an emergency podcast. And, of course, what I'm talking about is that the Avengers Doomsday trailer drops. So what are your thoughts?
I'm going to be honest, man. I've been really trying to not watch movie trailers in advance for the last year and a half. And I cannot, every time I open up anything, I get this clip of Thor just throwing his axe at what's his name? Dr. Doom.
Yeah.
I'm pissed. I'm pissed, Evan.
Well, for what it's worth, it's a joke, by the way. We're not here to talk about Avengers Doomsday trailer. They don't. I did watch the trailer. They do not show any actual plot. They just show a whole bunch of superheroes kind of.
I've literally only seen a
stuff.
second and a half of it because I've closed the window immediately every time.
Well, yeah, you're not missing much. So yeah, what we're really here to talk about is is Hobby Corner. Yeah, so this is it's not completely done, but
Wow.
This is one of my wheelos. It's got kind of a crappy pirate look. I'm working on
that's really good, dude.
Yeah. This needs some more touch up work, but this is Vallejo aqua texture.
Yeah.
And then it's got some seafoam texture and
it's amazing how much some of those textured paints or textured kind of I don't know what to call them, molding sort of things.
Yeah.
They do a lot of work if you put the time into using them.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then I talked about this before, but these are my little pirate guys.
Little amputees.
They're all on wooden planks. Yeah, my amputee crew. Yeah, so that was Hobby Corner. But anyway, of course, we're not here to talk about that either. We're not that kind of podcast. No, we're here to talk about the fact, Mike, that today a surprising thing happened, which was that a card pack, which we knew was coming. We especially knew it was coming because we had actually sent this card pack by AMG, and I do want to thank AMG for having sent this ahead of time. Thank you. We were holding off to talk about it because the release date was still too far away. But then a store in Australia got it early, and Mike, are you a visitor of the Outback Steakhouse?
I have been.
When's the last time you've been to an
I have
Outback?
been known to enjoy a blooming onion from time to time.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
Yes.
But do you remember the slogan of Outback Steakhouse, which of course represents Australia in earnest?
No.
Shout out to our Australian listeners, right? So their slogan is "No rules, just right," and I think that applies here.
That accent's pretty good.
Anyway, we're here because now we're allowed to talk about it.
The ban has been lifted.
The ban's been lifted. So let's just get on with the hot takes. And the rest of these are going to be in PowerPoint form. But there's one in particular that Mike told me earlier that we actually have some media prepared on his end about the first card that we're going to talk about. And you'll see the more professional view soon. So, don't worry about the fact that this is probably focusing very terribly. So Fire Control. And I'm just going to read this. It's a unique command upgrade. It's only 5 points, Michael. And it says, when another allied unit within range 1 makes a ranged attack against an enemy unit in line of sight of this unit, upgrade 2 of the attacking unit's dice. There is no limitation on how many times per turn you can do this. There is no range limitation aside from the within range 1 of this, but there's no outward range limitation on the target. There is no tapping. And this can just be used over and over again. So, Michael, your thoughts?
Fire Control, the Captain Red.
Oh, this is beautiful. This is true art.
Tokens and put your helmet on. Fire Control, the Captain Rex.
Are we going to get DMCA'd for this?
Commencing countdown orders up. Check the token and may Yoda be with you. This is Far Control, the Captain Rex. You've really found the upgrade. And the players want to know where you buried Kenobi.
All right, so yeah, we're gonna we're gonna keep this song going as we talk about the actual thing. If you want to hear the song in its entirety, including Mike's beautiful a cappella interpretation of David Bowie's hit "Space Oddity."
It's a Legion oddity, my friend.
Okay, sorry.
As is this upgrade card. I actually think narratively and thematically, this is a metaphor for a lot of things about Captain Rex and this upgrade card, and you know, we're going to Mars, if you will.
Yeah. In the same way that the cheese on a Big Mac is actually a cheese-like product that's not truly cheese when you get down to it, your song is a Space Oddity-like song for a card that is a balanced card in Star Wars Legion. So yeah, let's get to it, Mike. Aggressive tactics was truly killed. It's dead. It's gone. And I believe that part of the reason was because it felt like too much of an auto include. And also there are also balance reasons. I believe that were quoted at the time that clones, but actually at the time droids were actually getting better use out of it than clones were.
Go
but
figure.
Typical, right? That it was causing some design issues, and I can see that. Like, I'll give one example, Mike. If they didn't take away comms relay, then it would have caused some problems by now, right? Like with all the various stuff that came out. So
I'm not sure that that's
I think it
actually
would
true.
have. I think it would have. Like, we don't have time for that argument, but but the other thing that happened recently, as far as these command upgrades go, is that improvised orders, which certainly was the most commonly taken command upgrade. And what's the reason why improvised orders was the most commonly taken command upgrade, Mike? Maybe two reasons.
I mean, it gave you okay order control, I would say. Like, the two most, I don't know, it's cheap.
Yeah. Well, I think that the other, it's sort of a read my mind thing, but the other one is just that there aren't very many good command upgrades in Star Wars Legion right now, right? And like, if you think of, there are certain situations where inspiring presence is actually usually used when a commander has an operative has a command slot, such as Callus or Padme. Is that, like, yes, in that situation that is useful. But strict order is basically not a thing anymore. They literally took away that Guardian one. I already forgot which one that is. Sometimes we have the one to where like trusted agent. We do see that on occasion. Vigilance did just get cheaper, so now that's going to be more common. But it just
I actually don't think that's true, but we'll get to that when we get to the card that's gonna shell it into the ground.
We will get to that. But a big part of it was just that there wasn't a ton of options, and so when improvised orders got nerfed pretty dang hard to be made unique and to not auto refresh, it definitely like made it so that there were fewer command upgrades out there. And now we have this. I don't know where to start, Mike. Like, this has the potential to make especially turn 1 alpha attacks significantly stronger. It also certainly can have effect later on in the game. And so maybe my question for you is this, Mike. Putting battle forces aside for a second, because that is something that has yet to be answered as far as this goes.
Sure, because it is a unique. It is unique and has to be called out in the battle force doc.
Exactly.
Yes.
And we'll get to that part at the end. But putting those aside, what armies that have an available command slot are not going to be taking this?
This is going to be in every list ever. And if you didn't, you made a mistake. And I just want to paint a very reasonable picture of like one of the worst case scenarios of what this card does in order to illustrate the like the baseline, like this is the baseline, this is like as bad as it could possibly be.
Yeah.
So when you upgrade 2 attack dice with this effect, you add each die that is upgraded adds 2 of 8 facings as hits to the pool, right? 2 of 8 facings, that's 0.25 hits. So when you upgrade 2 dice, you get 0.5 hits, right? The rough value of an aim token is 1 hit if you're rolling black dice, right? Assuming that you're rolling non-surgeon black dice. The rough value of 1 aim token without extra keywords, yada yada yada, is 1 hit. So in order to kind of like evaluate these two things equally, if you hit fire control twice on, like, once on 2 units, or once on a unit that split fires and upgrades 4 dice as opposed to 2, you have gained the equivalent of an aim token in like dice value or expected hit outcome from the thing that you did, right? And so
that's the way I would think about it, is that each individual shot is basically equivalent to an aim token being used in terms of your added value. Is that's about the way that
each shot is half an aim token.
Each shot is half an aim
unless
token.
you split fire, in which case it is a full. And then
it becomes
a
full one. Okay,
correct.
Got it.
Yep. So let's take the case of 1 unit split firing 1 time. And that's the only thing this card ever did for you.
Yeah.
Right? It gives you 1 aim token. Offensive push is 6 points. Right?
Okay.
It gives you an aim token. That's the literal effect.
Right? Very often, except for some edge cases such as like Delta Squad, which never sees any play, where it is going to auto refresh, is that offensive push is often meant to be like used once.
Maybe twice if you're like lucky, and maybe you like Yoda guidance them with Yoda and paid 80 points of value for it or whatever. But
or if this is the way it recovered too.
Baseline, if you trigger this, if you upgrade 4 dice with this card, in an entire game, you have netted its like points in aim tokens in what the game has traditionally evaluated an aim token or that amount of hit generation to be worth, right? I think we both can say with pretty solid certainty that the chances that you are only upgrading 4 dice with this card is pretty low.
Pretty low.
Let's say that you only do it on 5 units in a given turn and you don't split fire with any of them. It's still 2.5 aim tokens. That's just 1 turn. That's just 1 turn.
Yeah.
Right? This is literally giving you tactical download or like luminous, or I mean, a really good comparison is this is very close to being the new Mandalorian leader's command card just every turn of the game.
Yeah.
And it doesn't cost you a command card. And I got to tell you, as someone who's been playing that command card as my turn 1 play in every game I play, I don't upgrade 2 dice. I don't upgrade 4 dice. I upgrade like 16.
Yeah. And so that's going to give you an additional 32 hit faces on your dice.
Yes. Which is roughly equivalent to 8 hit. I guess that's what, 4 hits in total?
Yeah.
Sorry, doing quick maths in the head. And like, that's with a faction that really only has 5 or 6 shooters. When we start talking about like This is going to be an Empire or
Empire.
Rebels, which is like at 13 to 15 activations, a lot of them with long range shooters, right? Like, I don't think we know what the interaction between fire control and the sniper team rule is yet, but it's totally possible that they throw triple red when they don't move.
Yeah.
When under the effect of this. Yeah, this card is insane. I fully expect it to be, you know, whether it's nerfed or not, that's a conversation for another day. But this is definitely best in class by several miles.
Yeah.
Um,
and I totally agree with you that if you have a command slot, and pretty much everybody does outside of the battle forces again, we'll talk about that in a second, then you should be filling it with this first. And even if you're not like a range 4 / snipey list, or that even if you don't have like big vehicle weapons, because just to make sure that folks are clear, is that this is any allied unit, any enemy unit. So you can be powering up vehicle shots with this, even if you're not, maximizing the split fire potential that you get out of this. Or, another example is if it's not split fire, then another thing you could be doing is beam attacks in order to maximize the potential of this.
Upgrade that air support to 3 red dice.
Yeah, or the ISP to red, black for each of one of those shots. Like, that's pretty good.
Like, if that's the only thing you're doing with this card, that's great. It's like, it's worth the 5 points if that's literally the only thing it did.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it is funny that one of the few things that doesn't get benefit out of this is the saber beam attack.
Yes, because it's already double red. Yeah. It's too bad you can't go like a Omega Fuchsia or something.
Rainbow colored dice. It's too bright. But yeah, like, even if you aren't doing any of that stuff, and if like you're more of a range 3-ish list, guys are still going to be near your commander. Especially when you take cohesion into effect, and that's another thing we'll talk about is why Rex was mentioned in that song, and so I basically just think that even though there are some lists out there that are taking improv orders, I would just take this instead, because you're just more likely to get value out of it, even if you're not like this huge rangy list, and so it becomes this. I don't know. The reason why Mike and I are like a little bit wary on this is that, yes, it benefits everyone to a certain extent, except for the battle forces, maybe. But when it's such an auto include, it does feel kind of icky from a like variety and list building perspective. I don't know. Like, what do you think about that?
I mean, I think that there's a lot of things in Legion that have been auto include. Or close to it.
Per faction.
I do think that this might be the most auto include we've ever seen on any card ever. I suspect. I'm not sure that there has been an upgrade card in Legion that is more powerful than what this card is likely to do.
No, I don't think so, because maybe the closest thing was AT, but that was only for 2 factions.
Here's the thing. AT, at best case, was the equivalent of 4 hits, right? We've already given you that scenario. That also restricts the
4
units.
hits or blocks.
Sure, but I mean, like, I think if we're like comparing,
sure.
it forces you to nominate a specific commander. Aggressive Tactics did, which really limited the builds that it could be used in, and it really suffered.
That was actually another reason I got rid of it.
It really suffered as far as like on the lower pip turns, like on your 1 pip turn, sometimes you only handed out 1 or 2 surge tokens, whereas Fire Control doesn't care. I mean, Padme can use this, right? Like this does not have to go on a commander.
Just have to have a command slot, which is Padme, it's Callus, and then another cool example that, again, the reason why the song was what it was, and something that can be quite interesting in terms of the range one of this unit thing, is that a clone infantry with Captain Rex in there, especially if it was a super squad, which seems like it's a little bit of a big expenditure, but even if it's a regular clone infantry squad, you can fan those clone minis out, and so Captain Rex gives you a command slot in your infantry.
He also allows you to draw line of sight from like 11 different places
from
on
any
the
of the
battlefield.
guys, exactly. Because it's line of sight from the unit.
Yeah, which I don't know how big a deal that's going to end up being, but it's not a deal.
Yeah,
does it make
it is the air sniper era?
Yeah, does it make a 40-point Rex? Ooh, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think, but if you were already taking Rex, maybe put this in there. But I don't think people were already doing that. I think I would much rather just take like a 57-point Padme.
Yeah, for sure.
to be honest.
Yeah, because Padme wants to hang out in the back anyway, and so.
Yeah. She's also okay with getting shot at. She's got like dodge tokens,
Yeah.
She's got backup. It's
I think that there are going to be some commanders that mesh with this a little bit more than other commanders naturally.
For sure.
But I mean, anybody can get value out of this. And so to that extent, I think it is going to, I pretty much think it's going to be an auto include in all this. Maybe we'll be proven wrong. But
there's a lot to be excited about today. I'm going to be frank. I'm not excited about this card. Just because I think it's going to be in every list ever.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that even though it's this sort of antithetical thing, which is that even though this is the strongest card out of anything we're going to talk about today, it's the one that excites me the least. And I get that there's going to be people who are going to be upset about us starting with sort of a card that we feel like is a bummer.
Whatever.
But we wanted to talk about it first. That gets it out of the way.
We're entering the fire control meta.
Yeah. We get out of the way, but B, it is the most important card out of all of these, and so we wanted to talk about it up front.
Yeah.
On that note, we mentioned the Battle Force thing. So this is a unique upgrade. We obviously, until we reach the date of release, which I think is August 14th, is the official date of release of Upgrade Pack 2. And even then, it would be like a week after that, or it would be us getting some kind of a confirmation from AMG about what's going to happen. Is that we can't predict whether or not this is going to land in the Battle Force documents.
So
the evidence against it landing there is the fact that there's another card in this set, Squadron Leader, which is a unique upgrade, which has been in those documents for forever and a day.
Yes.
I think for months it's been in there. And it had been, I think, the last thing in those documents that was added maybe in back in November or something. Because to where there were these unique upgrades where we had no idea what they did. And Fire Control is not in any of those, whereas Squadron Leader is in 60% of them or whatever. And so my honest hope, Mike, is that Fire Control stays out of all of those documents. But I feel the strongest about that in Mandalorians, because they do not need any additional help, Mike.
So I think I disagree there.
Okay.
And I think I disagree on the basis of, if we're going to be in a place where you basically have to play this to be playable, which is a thing that could happen.
I wouldn't say that.
That might be a stretch, but
I would say that if you can play it, you should play it.
It will be probably pretty close to objectively correct to include this in your list. And I think that in a lot of ways, let's for instance say that you net 4 hits out of this every turn, and let's say you play 4 turns of the game. This command card is netting you 16 hits. That's that's like an extra squad or 2 dead
Yeah.
every game that you've killed from this card, right? And so my point is that I do think that there is a world, and I'm not saying this is a world we're going to end up in, but it could end up existing where this card is so meta defining that if you don't play it, you're at a steep disadvantage. And by just the nature of that fact, the battle forces may be lagging behind. Now, is that likely? I think specifically in the Mandalorian's case, I think their infiltrate alpha shenanigans can probably still overwhelm even lists that have this going on.
Mandos are going to be fine without this card,
but I
Mike.
do think lists that don't rely on, like most of the battle forces that don't rely on that sort of tactic, are probably gonna, suffer. Do I want to see fire control in Onaka Gang with, Reckless Gunner or whatever it's called, and 4 tanks and splitting fire and adding dice and then upgrading the dice and doing all that janky shenanigans every turn? No. No, I do not.
And Hondo hiding inside of a unit in melee with 4 dodge tokens and just like spending the entire game not interacting in order.
But he can
to
see
enable,
everybody.
He can see everybody. Exactly. That's that's the thing.
I'm all good. I don't want to live in that world. So I do think that there are some battle forces that probably shouldn't get it. I think Mandos probably shouldn't get it. They already have it in the command card to some extent. I don't think Onaka Gang should get it. I think
if they keep it out of the mercenary armies, that would be a good way to split. I mean, because Ewoks wouldn't really get much use out of it anyway. But for the other ones, for like Mandos and Onaka Gang especially,
you say that, but
who cares?
But if literally the only dice you're upgrading are the Chewie ATSTs, I think you're still getting the value.
If you're doing a lot of split firing, then you would actually, because Chewie does have the 3 weapons. That is it 3 weapons or 2? I forget. But
even if it's just one
fire
over the course of 3 turns, you're getting more than a name token. Like,
yeah.
That's the thing.
You can do it twice with brains and brawn.
It really does not take much to get way more than 5 points of value. Like, you just have to use the card you're like, I used it by accident. I'm sorry, and you're getting way more than you paid for.
So we should move on. But yeah, very, very, very good card. This was the card we were going to spend the most time on. So for all these, Mike, we're going to try and give it a grade, and we're going to try to think about what's the first unit you thought about putting this onto, or is what's the unit you think of. So I'm going to start by saying, if for anybody who's ever played the Devil May Cry series, and if you're getting a sick combo going, then you go from C, B, A, you go to S, and then you go to double S, and then when you have a really, really sick combo, you go to triple S, and then the announcer jumps in and he says sick savage style or something like that. So this is triple S is my grade for this, and the unit I would put it on is, do you have a command slot? Is the unit I would put it on. Pretty much everybody. Mike, where would you rank this?
Yeah, I go with quadruple S just to one up you.
Okay.
And I would say the first unit that I'd put it on is probably Kalani.
Kalani is definitely, yeah.
If I had to pick the most clear one that is, you want a tactical download and do this every turn? Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. You think about Kalani with some snail tanks, splitting up those fire. This could be pretty good.
You get some
pretty good way to start the turn.
Spider droids in there with the with the aquas and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, why not? Oh boy.
See.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so let's move on.
Yeah.
So the next one we have, so we're going to get into some comms upgrades now. Infantry support costs 10 points. It is comms upgrade that is vehicle only. When an allied trooper unit within range 1 of this unit is issued an order, this unit may issue an order to itself. So it's sort of like a reverse HQ uplink sort of deal. It's like an absorption. It's like absorbing the orders, or it's like a reverse coordinate, is maybe a better way to say it.
I would call it is it hacked comms that does
Yeah,
this, but only
it's hacked comms for friendly units.
Yeah, yeah.
Is maybe the way to say it. And so 10 points is a lot, like, that, but it is completely up to you in terms of setting this up. So in that way, it could be pretty reliable. If you have this, then it means that you're not getting the benefits that vehicles are often getting from getting face-up orders all the time, which is from like targeting array. As far as I'm aware, there aren't any vehicles that I can think of that have 2 comms upgrade slots. And so it would mean that you would be missing out on that. So it would be a situation to where you really want face-up orders on the vehicle just from an order control standpoint.
Yeah.
And that's worth 10 points in your army for. And I feel like there are going to be places for this in certain lists. I just can't really think of the good examples off the top of my head. Like, what about you, Mike? Like, where do you see this?
I think I think this could be really maybe not strong but good on like speeder bikes.
Yeah.
I think turn 1, like it'll be very easy to get, like all of your bikes will be range 1 of a unit that is issued in order that turn.
That's true. For round
right?
1, that's actually very true.
So like for 30 points, instead of paying for like HQ uplinks, which are limited, which you can only take 2 of, this is not limited. You can take an infinite amount of infantry supports if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
You can get 3 orders for like the same cost as 3 HQ uplinks. And then if you're conservative in your placement of the bikes, like you can do it again the next turn. Particularly if you have, let's say, Thrawn direct any unit in your army, which happens to be right next to them all, right?
Yeah,
so like,
true.
If you, let's say, had a droid trooper that could be placed anywhere on the table, on turn 1 because it had infiltrate. It was only 35 points and very cheap to add to your list to support your speeder bikes. That seems fine.
Yeah.
To be able to just like hand all your speeder bikes orders on turn 1, turn 2. Frankly, like past turn 2, like they're probably going to be dead anyways, or like or severely limited in capacity, and the order situation is less important, or just because you're probably throwing less dice with them, and yada 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 yada.
I could see this in a quad bike list in Blizzard Force, as a way to kind of. One of the big problems that list has is being able, because they really want order control on the bikes round 1, especially.
Yeah.
And right now, you can get that if you're playing command cards that you don't really want to be playing round 1 in Blizzard Force typically. And so it's this weird situation because it means that you can't play Darkness Descends, and you also can't do Overwhelming Firepower or whatever that one's called, if you wanted to get orders on all of your bikes. And so this may be in combination with a couple HQ uplinks, because the thing about HQ uplink is that combos with strike and fade to make it so that you can use it every round. If you take a recover action, that you can use both of those every round.
But you don't need to recover every round if you're not spending an action on your order.
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean about what strike and fade does is that it makes that recover action quote unquote free because you get the movement for free.
Sure.
But with this, but with the HQ uplink one, you don't need to be infantry for it to work.
Yes.
You don't need to be near infantry for it to work. With this one, sometimes speeder bikes often want to flank.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so that would mean that they're often not going to be near your own infantry units, and even more so, think about Blizzard Force. Oftentimes, Vader's the only one getting an order in that army, if you're running the Vader version.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I do think there's gonna be situations, but overall, what's the grade you're gonna give this, Mike?
I think this is a C. I think it's fine. I think it's got some room in speeder bikes. I think it's got some room in if you take 1 on a stap, you can kick a stap chain with this, with something that's not
I'm still doing LTAs on staffs because it's just so easy to get direct AI.
Sure. That's fair. I just I do think that that's like a thing you can do. I don't.
Yeah,
It's an option that is provided to you, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'd also give it a C. For some reason, I feel like whenever we get the Mud Trooper battle force, like I always forget the name, like the number that's assigned to the armor division or whatever.
It's like 24th or something.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I bet that this will be useful with the Gav in that Mud Trooper army. For some reason,
I
just,
bet
like,
this
have
will
a
be
feeling.
useful with the Gav. Said no one ever.
Says Evan Paul. Mark the date. It's July 20th, 2026. Okay, cool. So that's that one. Let's move on. Next one, Adaptive Combat Network, Droid Trooper only. So this is I think this is the first comms that is Trooper only, I think. Which is kind of interesting in and of itself because most of them are either vehicle only or for everybody. When another unit equipped with Adaptive Combat Network suffers one or more wounds, there's no range restriction on that. So that's a very important thing to say. You may exhaust this card. If you do, this card gains 1 aim token. At the start of the end phase, ready this card. So basically, what this does is that for anybody in, like, okay, first of all, I should mention, are there units out of CIS that can take this technically? Yes. Would there be any situations where you'd want to do that? I don't think so. I guess, like, if you want to do brobots with IG-11 and IG-88, you could put this on both of them so that they're sharing, like, tokens with each other. I guess that's, like, a thing that you could do. But
you could do it on, like, K2 and R2.
K2 and R2, yeah, sure. Would that be worth it? No. But basically, so yeah, we should just remind ourselves we are talking about CIS here. And in CIS, everybody that's not an organic in droids has a comp slot. I'm pretty sure that's the correct statement. And so basically, you can put this on your whole army to make it so that functionally, the first time that anybody with this upgrade takes a wound, which happens in the game of Star Wars Legion, that everybody else gets a name token. That seems really good. I haven't spent a ton of time, like, sort of mathing this out in terms of, if I have like a 13 unit army and 3 of them are a Jedi and 2 Geonosian people, which would mean that outfitting all of the eligible folks would cost 40 points with your remaining 10 units. And so that's not nothing. That's the same cost as a force push. We'll get to that later. I love triggering Mike early when we record these and sort of get his ball rolling. But, like, you're talking about the second that one of those units gets wounded, you would be able to tap this on the other 9 in that example. So you can't tap this on the unit that gets wounded because it has to refer to another unit that suffered the wounds. But that unit, as soon as one of your other guys gets shot, would be able to start taking a name token by tapping that card. So, like, right off the bat, you could get 9 name tokens per turn the first time you take a wound. Some of those are going to end up being wasted because of the way the orders work and doing the back and forth. There's sometimes you're just not going to have a shot to take. But the flip side of that is that droids have plenty of shenanigans to make sure that to make it less likely that aim tokens do get wasted, such as having Exemplar, such as having Aid. And so you might say that you can tap all of these and instantaneously have maybe like 3 aim tokens on Kalani, in addition to the ones that everybody else has in the droid army. That seems good. It seems like it might be worth 40 points. What do you think about that sort of scenario, Mike?
Do I think that Separatist lists are going to take a single B1 unit out of their army and basically load this onto every other unit? Yes.
I think so too.
It refreshes.
This card is non-limited. I just want to remind people. Yeah,
it refreshes for free.
For free.
Like, yes. This is like, we were just talking about aim token generation.
The value of an aim token.
Like, I think fire control is going to be more defining because it's like, in every faction, basically. Adaptive Combat Network might be stronger. Like from a pure amount of dice generation and amount of killing power that this adds to your list.
Yeah.
It is entirely possible that is true. And yeah, this card is that. Again, we're kind of going back to like, what is an aim token worth, right? This card suggests to me that somewhere between 3 and 4 aim tokens is worth 4 points. I mean, it's gonna trigger every turn.
It's because there's no range restriction, right? Like
there's no range restriction. They're gonna deal damage to your dudes, right? Some of those aim tokens are gonna get wasted, but let's say I doubt that even half of them would be wasted. You're gonna tap this early on in the turn cycle.
Yeah.
Turn 1 is probably the turn that's least likely to do the most, but on turn 2, your opponent can't afford to not kill things.
Yeah.
So like they're gonna shoot something. You're gonna get 10 aim tokens, and then you're gonna go with all your stuff. And you're going to have 10 extra aim tokens. I think it's a big question what the correct number of adaptive combat networks is going to be in your list. I do think that like saturation is important here. No, it seems real good. And particularly when you like then like you're like this is not exclusive with with fire control. You could take both. So I don't know.
You sure can. Now, Michael, this is sort of like a good pop quiz trivia question for you. I know of one way that droids can engineer this to go off for everybody at the start of round 1. And so I'm going to keep that one in the bag. But can you think of at least one way that droids can force the issue upon themselves in terms of taking a wound on round 1 to maximize the utility of this?
I can give you 2.
You can give me 2. Okay. But we'll see. Probably one of them is the one I was thinking of then. So go ahead, Mike. What are the 2 ways that you can think of that you can force the issue and give yourself a wound?
Yeah. So number 1 is Grievous's new 1-pip.
Okay, that was the one I was thinking.
Allows you to kill somebody.
Yeah, so you can just kill somebody to give tactical 1, even though Grievous is almost never going to get use of that tactical 1 if you do that on round 1.
Yeah.
But there's no limitation to doing it, and that also happens at during the command phase.
Yep.
So it would mean that you can give an aim token to everybody except for the unit that took a wound there.
Yep.
Okay, and what's the other example?
The other example is if you don't want to burn your 1-pip, you just play Grievous's 2-pip Supreme Commander instead, Ruthless something, and take a wound.
Oh, yeah.
And that way you get to keep your 1-pips.
Yeah, actually, that's probably a better option, and that way, like, A, you get to keep your 1-pips, but B, again, because that tactical would be wasted on Grievous.
Yeah.
If you do Ruthless, then you're getting an extra movement at the very least out of that unit.
Yep.
But
that does mean that you have 2 separate turns that you can trigger it immediately
in the command phase.
I mean, the Ruthless one doesn't trigger it technically in the command phase,
but you could do it in the first activation of the activation phase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's basically the same thing.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't know. You only need to really do that twice, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing, right? Is that round 1 is the only situation where you would have the potential of wasting opportunities to spend those aim tokens.
Yeah,
and then you can just like take that variable out of the equation by a Grievous just like telling a B1 to go F yourself and like march. You better march your ass out there, and by doing so, you're going to empower the entire droid army with aim tokens. And again, right off the bat, you can like with your 2 super attacks, just aid them both over to Kalani, and like the whole thing starts getting crazy at a certain point.
I mean, this one at least has a cost to it. Like, it's not 5 points to set this combo up. It's like somewhere between 24 and 40, right? which is not nothing. I mean, I think it's way more value than force push, but
I yeah. I do want to mention, I want to make sure that I am fair about this, is that for a second I talked about the comms upgrade, about how it's everywhere, and that like it is true that it's on vehicles, and but this upgrade is droid trooper only.
Yes.
And so we do need to caveat that. But the thing is that this is actually a place where the fact that Decas and Aqua droids,
good thing they're troopers
just
now.
became droid troopers. So like you think about, obviously all your core slots are going to matter for this. Special Forces, BX certainly could get quite a lot of utility out of this. You would be able to give aims to all of your snipers with this, who do also have a comm slot in your support slot. If you have Decas filling the rest of your support slot, then they would be able to get it. Aqua droids is still a very, very good choice for your heavy slot. And then what this does, Mike, is that this actually sort of gives Aqua droids back their automatic aim that they lost by losing link targeting array. And so now they can just get it from this, on top of the fact that it's going to generate extra aims for Kalani to share with the Aqua droids. So the infiltrating mega shots are kind of back, baby. And so, yeah, like in that sense, you can squeeze utility out of all of your rank slots. And so, the fewer vehicles you're using, the better as far as that goes. But that seems very good. There's some armies that are not going to have this because they're geo-focused, or if they're very vehicle heavy, and like if your only troopers are a bunch of naked B1s, then this is probably not worth it, right?
If your
Or,
only
like, what do
troopers
you-
are a bunch of B1s?
If your only troopers are like Kalani and a bunch of B1s, and then it's a bunch of vehicles, like is this really worth it to give aims for your white dice attacks? To run like, to spend, I don't know, 24 points on a bunch of adaptive combat networks for your naked B1s. That's where I get kind of iffy about this.
Do they have fire control too? Probably,
yes, of course
right?
they do.
So maybe, because they're
Then
not
you're
re-rolling
re-rolling
white
black
dice,
dice,
they're
maybe.
re-rolling black dice.
Okay, there you go. Actually, maybe this would be worth it. Time will tell.
Yeah,
I haven't done enough list building.
I agree with you that there are going to be cases where adaptive combat network is not like a thing you want to be doing in your separatist list.
Yeah, so it's not as much of an autoclude as fire control.
Though I do think that it goes back to the like, if you're not doing this, are you like just is a geo list like actually better than
is that actually better than a droid list,
or like equivalent to like what you can be doing in a list that has adaptive combat network? That's a tall wall to get over, man. Netting an extra 30 aims over the first 3 turns is like that's a steep mountain to climb for any list from being on an equal footing.
Giving all 3 of your sniper teams alone just an aim, which again on its own and without range restrictions on its own enables all of their attacks to not only be able to have a reroll, but to have overwhelm attached to them. When normally if your strike teams are spread out, they would not reliably have access to an aim, and so now they can either take an additional aim or do a move shoot with an aim, or shoot move I should say with an aim.
Yeah.
And upgrade all their dice and have all the fixins. Yeah, this is really, really good. I'm gonna give it an S, and the first unit that I'm thinking of is Kalani because of all. It's like once again, it's Kalani because of all the shenanigans you can do with him in this.
Yeah.
So Kalani stonks going up. Mike, what's your grade and what's your first unit you're gonna put this on?
We're going with quadruple S, and it is
full
also
quadruple S for you
Kalani.
again.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All
I
right.
think both of the upgrades that I've provided, essentially aim support, are like they're in a completely different class. Yeah.
Kalani's eating good, but even like Kraken, the generic super tax, like everybody is getting a lot out of this, and even the naked B1s are getting something out of this. It's kind of nuts. Okay, So next one, Squadron Leader. This is the one that we've known about for a long time, and now we finally know what it does. So it's vehicle only, 10 points. During setup, each allied unit with the same name as this unit gains a squadron token. When an allied unit with a squadron token within range 1 of this unit attacks during the reroll attack dice step, it may reroll one of its attack dice for each other allied unit within range 1 that has a squadron token. Two important things to mention with this. One is that this does put a target on the squadron leader, because unless I'm misreading something about this, even though this like provides squadron tokens, the things that token does is not defined by the rule book, but it is instead defined by this card, which would mean that once the squadron leader dies, you're no longer getting any utility out of having that squadron token. Whether or not it still exists in the battlefield, I don't think doesn't matter anymore. So that's an important thing to remember. And then the other important thing to remember is that this only continues to have utility when you have squadron token guys that are within range 1 of each other, which means that if you're going to be squeezing the juice out of this, then you need to stay close to each other. So, yeah, Mike, what do you think of this one?
I think it's okay. I think in the spaces where it is gonna be good, I think it's gonna be excellent. The two places that immediately stand out to me are Onaka Gang, if it's takeable. I don't know.
It is legal in Onaka Gang, yes.
So that seems good. It should be noted that reroll attack dice step happens every time you split fire, right? So units that, again, we've talked about the split fire meta for a while now. We already talked about fire control today. I think Squadron Leader falls into that category as well, as you get extra rerolls if you're split firing.
Yep.
Onaka Gang's already with the gunner upgrade kind of wants to do that. I think this upgrade is like okay if you have 3 things with squadron tokens. I think it gets to be pretty good when you get to 4, which is
exactly. I agree.
Which is basically just Blizzard Force and Onaka Gang, I think. I could be
and rapid interdiction. When you have Grievous, rapid interdiction can run for Timus.
I'm less high on that because I think the Timus rely on being able to like overrun things, which means that they're likely actually not going to be in range 1 of each other while they're doing the overrun.
Yeah, well, you say that, but when you have 2 minis, the range 1 thing gets a lot easier, and they're also 2 big minis.
That's fair.
And so, like, when I have played rapid interdiction, I've usually basically rolled out my team as kind of in formation.
Sure.
And like the other reason why it does actually have a lot of potential is because you would get the extra rerolls across 3 different attacks.
I do think if you're able
2
to find
and then the range attack. Yeah.
I think if you're able to find the range, I think it would be great. I haven't played that list.
The main problem with the Timu list is that the squadron leader Timu is going to have the biggest target of all time on it.
Yeah.
And so, like, it would basically be a race to see how many rerolls can you get before it dies, which may not be all that many, depending on like what your opponent's setup is.
I'm on the leader.
Yeah, in theory, it could get just a crap. Like in theory, you could have full rerolls on all 3 of your attacks with Timus if you're like rolling around in a perfect formation, but that's like in the best possible case scenario. The scenario that I think is going to be easier to manage, and I think one you hadn't mentioned yet, is that this is also legal in 212. And so if you're doing a version, like if you're either doing Sabers or ISPs, and you're doing Squadron Leader, and you have 3 of them, then you would be able to, like, if you think of the ISP example, and you're upgrading the dice with fire control, and then you're also getting some rerolls on each one with your beam attacks. I actually do think that
I guess it's okay on the ISP. I don't think that Sabers.
The Saber's not as good because being range 1 of your other Sabers is actually pretty tough.
Well, and also, like, how often do you miss on 2 reds? You know, Like,
Well, it would be more useful. Well, but because if you only need one reroll, then it would mean that you basically never miss on 2 reds. But more so would be that you would also get rerolls on the main gun attack on top of that.
yeah, it's like 3 rerolls a turn probably.
Yeah,
And I don't know. I like it on the ISPs, I think, with fire control,
sure.
but I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not sold that this is worth it on a saber.
I think that's fair. Saber is more likely to just want LTA anyway.
Yeah.
I think. But yeah, with the ISPs, that's obviously cheaper, and you can roll out there with 3 of them and just like take a bunch of upgraded beam attacks with rerolls and surging the head, and it could be pretty nasty after a while. You basically have like 4 turrets that are pretty darn reliable at getting like 3.5 hits or whatever.
Yeah, as long as your opponent is like allowing you to do the beam thing.
Yeah, that's for sure. So yeah, like I think there's plenty of examples where this could be good. Another one is that if you have a fire control, like I guess there's maybe some rebelists out there that would still want to run 3 laser ATRTs. I don't think that there's like all that many situations where that's a good thing to do these days, but it's more reliable in terms of getting juice out of this if it's with a long range shooter that's mostly going to sit back as the game goes on.
Yeah.
Like the more aggro your vehicle wants to be or needs to be, the less likely it is that that vehicle is going to be alive in order to get utility out of this.
For sure.
Which sadly means that even though I think that the concept of this is most fun in speeder bikes, but that in practice the utility of it gets limited by the fact that speeder bike lists are often like tough to maintain, all of them being next to each other like that, and they also are tough with order control.
Yep.
And therefore maintaining the range thing would be a little bit harder. I still think that with triple staps you're doing 3 LTAs instead of doing 1 copy of this and 2 LTAs. So yeah, overall though I would give this a B. I think there's plenty of places to take it, and yeah, the ISPs is actually the first place that I would think of taking it.
Yeah, I think I'm on the B train. I think I personally I think I like Blizzard Force the most. Just as a place to, the Blizzard Force is the most fair use of it, but I think Onaka Gang is actually going to be the one where it's, if this card is
probably
a problem, it's going to be
I think
an
that's
issue
fair.
there.
Yeah, if it's going to be a problem anywhere, it would be Onaka Gang. I agree with that. Okay, so we are now out of the comm zone. We are getting to gear. So the first one, high speed tracking, 3 points. When this unit attacks a flying vehicle unit during the inform attack pool step of that attack pool gains blast. Mike, this is a really specific card that is only good against flying vehicles. I feel like the conversation on this one can be short because in my head, actually, sorry. First of all, I have a question. Flying vehicle, is that a moniker that we use yet in Star Wars?
That is not
Legion?
for the immediate question is like, does that include lats and air speeders? And the answer is those are not flying vehicles. Those are, I believe, repulsor units.
Yeah.
I would have to check on the lat.
So technically this does nothing right now, but this would be future proofing for when starfighters come out.
Yeah.
Maybe.
The lat is a repulsor vehicle. I could see the air speeder maybe getting a different designation when flying vehicle units do come out. But yes, this doesn't do anything right now.
Okay, so I think that this one is easy, is that for both my grade and the first unit I would think of, I'm going to give it a Sir not appearing in this film. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I think I generally agree. I'm a little bit nervous about this card just from like, we need a specific solution for this problem.
How hard is it going to be to shoot at an X-Wing?
I think this falls into a class of like a pool of upgrades that have traditionally like silver bullets. Silver bullets tend to not be good. Things that fall into this category are like Inquisitorious training, where it's like when you hit with it, it's great, but 70% of the time it might just be dead, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I don't know. And also, at face value, this effect doesn't seem that great.
Yeah.
Like it's fine, but I don't know. Maybe flying vehicles have red safe cover.
Yeah, like I think it all depends on stuff that we don't know, and
Yeah.
so for right now, we're just going to give this basically a not applicable. So yeah, let's move on. Overcharged blaster packs. 3 points. When this unit attacks during the form attack pool step, you may discard this card. If you do, that attack pool gains anti-personnel 2 and overwhelm. And just as a reminder, folks, anti-personnel 2 means that if you're shooting at a trooper, you can upgrade 2 attack dice. So there's a lot of upgrading 2 attack dice going on in the game these days, which is why it's sort of getting familiar with that math is like extra important. So this seems pretty good.
I don't know.
Like
for 60% of the cost of upgrading like 100 dice over the course of the game, you can upgrade 2.
The overwhelm part does add something to that, right?
Assuming you already have a name token.
Yeah, assuming you already have a name token. And so like you're right in terms of saying that this is a situation where the fact that that upgrading 2 dice is basically worth half a name token, actually it does line up with where offensive push is, right? If you're paying 3 points for this. So I think that what I would say is that if you're an army that is going to have easy access to aim tokens anyway, then this might be worth thinking about.
Probably good on Sleeper Cell. Probably good on Arcs.
It's probably good on Death Troopers.
Probably decent on Clan Kreese.
Yeah.
Anybody that has tactical natively, I think this is probably decent on. I do think that I don't think anti-personnel 2 on its own is likely good enough to take this most of the time.
I agree with that. I think the overwhelm is like where the decision point would be.
And it's even then it's like it's not busted. It's like fine.
Yeah. It's funny that when I saw this, my first thought was like, ooh, who reliably has aim tokens when they're shooting at troopers is range troopers because they have advanced targeting trooper 1. Yeah. And so I pulled up range troopers and I was like, oh, they don't have a gear slot. Tough to be you, range troopers.
Yeah.
But it is pretty good on death troopers, especially if they're getting like the retinue aim, because their baseline weapon has suppressive, which means that when you use this with that weapon, you just get to pile 3 suppression tokens on whatever target you want, at least on that round, which is pretty good. And then you're upgrading the dice to make it so that 1 aim is going to reliably get you almost all the hits, especially with that precise 2. So yeah, like I think it's overall I would give this a B because like the armies that are going to want it are kind of limited. And I do think that that Death Troopers is the first place that I would think of putting this on there. What about you?
Yeah, I think I'm on a C, maybe a D. Honestly, I think at best this is like a decent replacement for like those weird situations where you're like, I've got 3 points and I don't know what to do with it, so I bought a grenade.
I put impact grenades on my melee guy.
Like this is a much better option, I think, in those situations.
So. Or maybe another one that we're going to get to later.
Yeah, but I don't think that this is like got an effect on it where I'm like, yeah, I'm willing to pay 30 points to put this on all my guys. Yeah.
So I think the thing that we agree on is like, don't get roped in too much by the siren song of upgrading 2 dice once, because again, that literally is worth half an aim token, and if you're not already paying for offensive push, then if that's the thing alone, then this is not going to make it extra worth it. Yep. So here is the cousin of anti-personnel, tank hunting munitions, also 3 points. When this unit attacks during the form of attack pool step, you may discard this card. If you do, that attack pool gains anti-materiel 2, and impact 2. So comparatively, this you could argue that this might be more broadly applicable because you don't need in order to get utility out of the impact 2, the only thing you need to do is to pick a target with armor.
Yep.
You don't need to have any extra tokens yourself. And so there are situations to where this will be wasted if you don't have any armor targets to shoot at, technically. But I generally think that that's not mega likely as the game exists these days. So I think that on average, this is actually a little bit better than the other one. But what do you think, Mike?
Oh, this is definitely better.
Yeah.
I think it's just a question of like, I think if you're taking like a dedicated trooper anti-vehicle option, this is just stapled to them likely. So for instance, like I think not to use Death Troopers as all our examples, but the DLT in the Death Troopers is what, like red black white, or red white, or something.
I mean, it's red white, I believe.
Right. So like, and I think it's only impact 1. So if you
Correct.
like split fire off with the DLT into a tank with this weapon, blow the munitions, you're like, okay, I'm red black impact 3 for 3 points. Like that's, and then like shoot the normal guns into something else because you probably are going to get the full 3 with an aim token or whatever.
If you have fire control, it might be triple red also.
That's the thing, right? I do think jury's
you're wasting
out.
one.
I do think jury's out on if like these.
Can you upgrade dice multiple times?
Yeah, like if you can stack the upgrade effects. I don't know how clear that is.
Yeah, that's true. We don't know that for sure.
Even if you can't, though, it's like not that big a deal. It's still very good once you get to like Surging Black, you know? So I think that's just like one example that I think is pretty decent. I do think it's like where you're going to want this are situations where, you know, does the HH-12 need this? Probably not, right? Unless you feel like, I don't know. I guess the normal Stormtrooper pool probably adds 2 hits, so maybe Impact 5 is fine. You know,
if you're taking a range 3 shot, I think the Impact 5 against like an ATST is actually pretty meaningful.
Yeah,
and so I would probably think about putting this in an HH-12 for sure.
Yeah, so I do think this is just like much more broadly applicable, and like if you're taking dedicated rocket esque answers, like taking a copy or 2 of this in your list, I do think is reasonable. Is it required? Probably not. Is it gonna be required if Onaka Gang continues to be let off the chain? Maybe.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think I would give this one. I'd probably give this one an A just because I think it is more broadly applicable. Something that's interesting to think about with all these gear is that droids, even though they have pretty much everything, the one thing that they don't have is very much access to gear slots. I think it's pretty much like the various unique and non-unique super attacks are the only ones that even have a gear slot.
Yeah.
And they're probably not going to be taking these. So mostly we're going to be talking about everybody except for CIS that is potentially going to be taking these.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I actually think one of the better use case scenarios for this might be any lightsaber that has a gear slot attached to it.
How many of those are there actually?
Commander Luke. There's not many. Commander Luke is the one that like jumps out in my mind the most. Ahsoka, like Rebel Ahsoka, might have one. I don't actually know.
Yeah, the generic Jedi do not on Republic anyway, so it may only be some of these.
Is it actually like only
Rebels.
Commander Luke? That would be crazy, right? That can't be true.
So Bo-Katan, not a Force user, but she has Darksaber, and she can take a gear.
Yeah, I mean Sabine too, right? And I think
so Din also.
Yeah.
Because that way, like basically what you're saying is that way they can take mega impact lightsaber hits. Because this is not limited to ranged attacks.
Right. And like, your surging crit with like a bunch of impact, like, I think a lot of the smaller lightsabers are only impact 1 or impact 2, but like Anakin is like very good in the armor because he's like impact 3
Yeah,
surge
yeah, yeah.
crit, right? And I think you can make a lot of lightsabers, maybe not a lot because there's not a lot of gear options out there, but the ones that do have gear options, I think you can form a similar dice pool with this. So something to think about. I don't know. Again, I don't know how good that's going to be, but it is an option that seems reasonable to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think A rank, and now that you mentioned it, I think that actually like Din with this loaded up on there. Although maybe because he is using his jetpacks and the flame projector, that's not a good example.
I
So
mean,
yeah, maybe.
flame projector in a warrior squad is better most of the time, anyways.
Yeah, that's true. These days, maybe you just like don't need it anymore. But yeah. So cool. Let's move on to our next one. Superior equipment. So this is a 2-pip limited, non-commander and non-operative unit only. And it is 15 points. When this unit defends against a enemy ranged attack, upgrade 2 of its defense dice. So this is the first of many that are white save oriented. For begin the triggering Mike phase early once again, because if you have red saves, then you can't upgrade your defense dice at all. It's just a good reminder of that. And okay, so yeah, you can only do 2 of these, and even though this effect is strong, I think that 15 points is a lot for it. And like to the degree that I think it's actually probably usually going to be too much. But what do you think, Mike?
Well, so this is expensive to the point where like taking duplicates of it is going to be very difficult for starters. I think there are going to be use cases for this. I'm not entirely sold on what they are yet. However, I do think that the way that you should think about this card is that this card sort of turns whatever squad you put it on into the Chewie Wookiee squad.
Yes.
And
to the degree that my first thought about this was, if you run 3 Wookiee squads and one of them has Chewie and then 2 of them have this, like, does that make them more of a consideration all of a sudden?
Well, I actually think that the where this is going to shine is in surging white save units, because then the saves they pick up off this are actually like Mando saves instead of Stormtrooper saves.
Yes, but even if you're not surging, you're still adding the same number of block results to your roll, right? Because like surging white saves goes from 2 to 4, whereas regular white saves goes from 1 to 3. And so like the added value that you're getting is the same either way, isn't it?
I mean, kind of. I think the answer is kind of. The I think it really depends on like the thing is, the worse your saves are overall, the less likely this is going to trigger more times.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
that's true.
I
That's
think
true.
is like, unlike the other kind of like repeatable upgrade things where it's like I'm attacking and upgrading dice and like that just keeps happening, right? Whereas this is like, well, if you get shot with this and you die the first time, like, it's
But Wookiees also have 12 wounds for a full unit.
no doubt. And I
And so
actually
that
think
goes on
that
the other end.
this could be pretty strong on like a Chewie Wookiee unit that like is now upgrading 6 of its defense dice off the rip, right?
Yeah.
Is 15 points worth that? Um, I think you need like a very special use case to warrant paying this type of cost for that.
Another situation that I thought of when I saw this was, what about like if you have a couple of Rebel veterans super squads, which are going to taking one right off the bat with low profile every time, and then that means that generally they have to roll fewer defense dice on average than other units do, and so you're sort of like, the more that you squeeze your average roll towards 2 dice total is like kind of the more utility that you get out of this overall. And so in because they're taking an extra one off the top, and like, so if they would normally have 3 hits coming through, low profile blocks one of them, and then they are going to defense dice, that normally they'd be rolling 2 surging whites, and now they're rolling 2 surging reds. It could like make that unit extra tanky, but granted, it's Rebel veterans, which is, even though they've gotten much cheaper, it's still like not the first thing that I think of in terms of super squad stuff. And then if somebody's getting in there with a flamethrower and just melting all of them, then all of a sudden it's not really helping them all that much. And at that point, like spending 15 points on it for 2 Rebel veteran super squads, it doesn't. It maybe like seems better than it actually is. I'm not sure. Like, we would have to. It's the sort of thing where you'd have to sort of get a feel for it by actually playing it in a game.
Yeah, I want this to be good, but my other thing is like, I don't know. Is any like, what squad is worth being 15 points more expensive just by upgrading its defense dice? I guess would be my question. Like, let's say a world like, if Rebel Troopers, if you could decide between 40-point white save Rebel Troopers or 55-point red save Rebel Troopers, like, would you take the Rebel Troopers at 55?
I don't know. And I guess like another one I was thinking of was, what about like a Pike Super? Because they're rolling extra defense dice anyway. So even if only 1 hit is coming through, then on their danger sense dice, they would be able to upgrade 2 of them. And so that could make them more tanky as well.
Yeah, I definitely think that like the place that this is going to be used is like somewhere where there are repeatable defense effects that slim the die pool before the damage actually comes in. Whether that's like dodges and exemplar dodges, or low profile, or a combination of all of those things.
So yeah, overall, I think it's like I think it's a C overall, but that I think that there are some use cases that are at least worth trying out, and the Pike Super is actually the first place that I would try this out. Because I think that's already a good unit, and making it tankier is like going to be pure bonus in that situation.
I think I'm on F here. I think that while there might be use cases, this is an expensive upgrade.
It's really expensive for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Here's one where it's going to have a broader utility. Hit the dirt, non-droid trooper only, and white save only. The first of a couple white save only. Don't worry, Mike. I'm sure that red saves will get their due. Page them at some point in this document. They didn't. Units may equip this card even if they do not have a training upgrade slot on their unit card. Oh, thank God. I was worried that Cassian fleets wouldn't be able to equip this. Okay, so when this unit defends against a ranged attack during the apply, dodge, and cover step, you may discard this card. If you do, the unit rolls red defense dice instead of white defense dice when rolling for its cover pool for this attack. So, we're all familiar with Dug In by this point, so we know that effect very well. This is a one-time Dug In that doesn't care about your order situation. There's another card in this set that also cares about the order situation, sort of similarly to Dug In, that we will talk about. But yeah, this is very good. And Cassian Fleets is the first thing that I thought of. And the key to knowing that this card is sort of gross is the reaction that Brian Barrett had when we were talking about this card. He was like, "Oh boy, I'm gonna put this on my fleet troopers, and this is gonna be great." So yeah. Okay, good for you, Brian. Mike, I think my question for you is: are White Save armies going to be spamming this?
I hope not.
It's only 3 points.
It is only 3 points.
Are they going to be spamming this on the units that they actually care about? Is maybe a better question. So if you have naked rebel troopers, I think like you don't bother with this. But if you, I mean, certainly like Cassian fleets is an easy example of this would be really useful.
If you have super important units, which obviously every army does, I think that
Yes.
this is a pretty easy 3-point like
Sleeper cell, for instance.
thing. Yeah. Well, sleeper cell sometimes has difficulty getting cover. I think like you do still have to have cover against whatever you're attacking.
Yes.
In
a given game, you're going to have cover like once, and that's all you need to get some utility out of this card.
Sure, it's not that. Yeah, I don't know. The effect is good. I feel like I got to see this one play out. I'm not as ready to be like this is super crazy insano. It could be, but I do think that this one is a little bit more like there's a lot of things with sharpshooter these days, a lot of things with blast. This card does nothing against them, and your white saves, I don't know. My Mando list is rolling around with a bunch of high velocity sharpshooter dudes, so this
Mike,
card does nothing against them.
That's true. I did just have a thought. As we record this, we recently recorded a bunch of TFT minis.
Yeah.
And I now have regrets about a couple of the choices that we made, because I'm thinking of two guys that actually could get quite a bit of utility out of this. One is Sun Fac, who always has cover 1. And so
he doesn't
even
always have it, but yes.
But so assuming that there's no sharpshooter involved, he always has cover 1.
Sure, yes.
Because he carries it on his person.
Yeah.
And also Wicket, who has 3 training upgrade slots and usually doesn't spend all 3 of them.
Yeah.
But who does naturally have low profile and is usually going to be in cover. And so, like, as far as characters go, there's obviously quite a few characters out there who have red saves anyway, and so they wouldn't be able to take this.
Can't wait to take this on my.
Can't wait to take this on
Hantan.
Hantan, yeah. You know who needed the help was Hantan. So I don't know, Mike. I think that there's actually a lot of units that are going to take this because the value of it goes up with how valuable that unit is to you generally. Because it's a 3-point training upgrade and there's a lot of units that don't use all their training upgrades, and whereas like putting this on there could save them from like a big. You would have to make the choice, right, about like if the first attack that comes in is like 4 hits, are you going to spend your hit the dirt on a 4-hit attack?
Well, I think
if there's another better one coming after that.
To that end, I think, we've been talking about split firing a lot. And if you're doing a lot of split firing into your opponent who has a bunch of hit the dirts, like that's like those are tough decisions to make from a do I pop the hit the dirt or not of situation. I that's why I'm not like sure that this is as clean as it kind of looks, because I think there's a lot of situations where you're going to be like, I kind of want to hold this for the big attack, but what if the big attack never comes and it's just a bunch of chip damage and like I don't know. I want to see this kind of play out in practice before I make a judgment call on how strong it is.
That's fair. I am going to make a judgment call. I'm calling this a single S rank because I basically think that any army with white save troopers is going to be motivated to at least think about putting one of these on like their valuable white save unit in the army. And even though I wish that my first thought is Sunfac or Wicket because those are fun, it's stupid Hantan is the actual first place that this goes on.
Yeah.
And I guess the argument that you could make is that does take tenacity away, and so it's not like a total added value.
There are choices.
You are sacrificed. It is a choice.
A lot of the units that want this are taking other things in the training slot.
Yeah, I actually think that It's tough to say what, like, is this worth more than tenacity on Hantan?
I would say that if you're playing Han properly, you should never need this card.
That I guess that's fair. I think that, but even so, there are other units such as a Cassian Fleets where this is just like pure added value because it wouldn't be able to take training anyway, and so you can save it from the big shot and make the stupid Cassian Fleets last even longer than it normally would.
But like, how much value is that actually when you're getting all your dice back anyways? You know?
But you're keeping Cassian himself alive for longer because, I mean, I find myself trying to shoot that thing decently often.
Sure. I will say I had a game over the weekend where my Din put 19 Pierce 2 into him, and in that
situation,
he didn't die.
Help him.
He didn't die, to be clear. He lived on 1 because Owen rolled like surging red saves with his weight dice.
Nice work.
Yeah.
So that is fair to mention that for that Cassian Fleet example, this wouldn't help at all against the flamethrower because the flamethrower is blast.
And again, I think that's a thing that is relevant to this.
And it's going to be more and more common.
Yeah.
So, where do you come down on a grade for this, Mike?
I think I am on a conservative, like, high B, low A. Like, I definitely think this card is going to be taken.
Yeah.
I just am not convinced that it's like, it will do things. You will be happy about it. I'm not convinced it's S quite yet.
I think that's fair. All right. Lying in Wait. This is one of the few cards that can benefit Republic, Mike. So let's get ready for some hot guard takes once again from Mike Berry. Trooper unit with infiltrate or prepare position only. While this unit does not have an order token, which would mean that it doesn't have a face up, nor does it have a face down, meaning that it's already been activated. So it has to be in the bag, basically. It has to be unactivated, but also to not have a face up, right?
Yeah.
So while it does not have an order token, it has low profile. So this is like, it's like sort of the inverse of dug in-ish, because, or like maybe like a converse is a better word. But anyway, it's like it's like a cousin of dug in. You have an unactivated unit, but this is one where you don't have full control over it because it's in the bag, and you're getting some extra defense stuff, and it does last the whole game, so it could have benefit for that. What do you think of this one, Mike?
Garbage tea, put it in the trash
right,
can.
Tell us why this is going directly into the trash can.
I just, infiltrate units basically always want face-up orders, for starters.
Certainly round 1 they do.
Even after round 1, they're just like, I mean, I'm thinking of units that have infiltrate on them, right? Like clone commandos, like when they want orders, right? Imperial Special Forces.
Also, in round
orders.
1, this does not have any utility for infiltrate because once you're out there, you've been activated.
Right?
So round 1, this would only have potential value for prepare position.
Yeah. All of my Mando fire supports want orders because they have this is the way aim, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like it on
This
infiltrate.
is 5 points. So I'm not sure if I mentioned that.
Yeah. Don't like it on infiltrate just because I think the value is not there. Prepared positions is a little bit more interesting from a can we make prepared positions actually reasonable in this game sort of situation. Is the answer to make units that are mostly overcosted already cost more and give them like what I would consider a small upside? Even if this said didn't have the order clause and just said the unit gains low profile, I'm not even sure that this is quite good enough. It might be like a reasonable thing to take in some situations, but is it strong? I don't know. I don't think you should mess around with this card is how I feel about it.
The other thing worth mentioning is that this does not have the dug in clause of you can take this even if you don't have a training slot, which actually negates its utility for many units that have prepared positions, like the first one, or Maybe it's only short troopers actually.
Short troopers have a training.
They do.
They did before 2.6. That which was like, I
This
assume
guy,
they
Star
still
Wars
do.
Legion.
They because you can put Overwatch.
Oh
on
yeah,
them.
they do. Never mind.
Yeah. You can put Overwatch on them. I think the only thing that
so the mortar doesn't, but
like might not be able to take this is like the mortar and like the FD turret.
Okay, that's fair.
I would have to really, like ISF can take it. Marksman, like all the prepared position core units.
Oh hey, the generic Jedi with prepared position can take it. Mike, what do you think?
Cool. Good talk. Yeah, if this was like 1 or 2 points, okay. At 5, like I don't know.
At 5, I think like squeezing the utility out of it gets to be pretty darn tough. And yeah, I basically think that you summarized it well, which is that the prepared positions units that can't take this are all the emplacements. So that's EWEB, mortar, FD. None of those have natural training slots, and so they wouldn't be able to take this. Yeah, I think I'm with you. Is that like in terms of we talked about the reasons why this just like doesn't line up with what those units do. The infiltrate units want orders, and the irregular prepared position units, it's just like too much for the actual utility that you're getting out of it because they're of this narrow window in which it's actually useful, which is the window in which they have an order in the bag. So I'm with you. I'm going to label this an F. Maybe the first unit that I would think of putting this on would be a short trooper since they can take it. But even then, I don't think that the argument is very good. And I think that if you do have decent order control, then dug in is going to be a better thing to put on them to keep them safer. Okay, cool. So let's go to the next one. I guess lying in wait again. Stuck in. This is the first of a couple ones that I think are sort of a weird name for a upgrade card. The weirdest is yet to come in the Force upgrades. I'm super looking forward to that one. But stuck in, trooper only, it is 8 points. At the end of this unit's activation, if it is contesting one or more POIs, this unit gains 1 dodge token. So this is sort of like, it's kind of like the opposite of mission objective, where that was the one that I don't think I've ever seen used so far. Also 8 points, to where when you're shooting at a guy next to a POI, that you get to reroll one of the dice.
Man, when you put that like next to fire control, it's like
it's hilariously it's 3 more points. This is oh god. It's like that's like getting into the force push versus overclock zone of hilarious points mismatches. But I could see this having more utility than mission objective because it is giving you a token for free, but it is not timing neutral, right? Because you only get it after you're done activating.
Yeah.
It is 8 points, which is quite a bit. Can you think of examples where you would have utility out of this, Mike?
So, I think it's important to note that this likely is only going to trigger like 3 times in a game.
Probably, I think that's right.
Unless you're playing Haunton, in which case you have multiple activations every turn.
Yeah, but I don't think Haunton is going to be using their training slot on this one for what it's worth.
Maybe not. I don't know. Haunton also could trigger it on turn 1, right?
That's true.
Multiple times. So I don't know. But I think that where you want this is on units that can take advantage of the dodge token for more than just, hey, I deflected a hit. We're talking about
if you have nimble, for instance. Yeah.
If you have duelist, which, by the way, this weekend turns out, you know how you defeat Darth Vader with Mandalorians? You just swamp him with Mandalorian warriors. They get dodge tokens at the start of the round. That's how you do that with Duelist. You just make them completely immune pierce, and Vader is very, very sad.
That does shift the math quite a bit, it turns out.
Very, very sad.
Yeah.
Which actually I think makes the Mandalorian Warriors better than the Special Forces by like a long shot. Just for that reason.
Well, except Clan Ren with the Beskar has Duelist, right?
Does not. It has Pierce 1.
They
Pierce 1
changed
now because in
right.
the naming conventions that is Legion, units do not have the things that
so you're saying
is described on the cards.
This is like the Jedi Guardian that does not have Guardian.
Yes.
It's the Beskar Duelist that does not have Duelist.
Correct. Yes.
Awesome.
Yep.
Star Wars Legion in English. Pals since 2017.
Well, but we just had an upgrade card that's lying in wait, and it's like, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's like,
and yet Bosk probably does not want to take it. Bosk is not able to take that card.
Literally
right?
not able to take it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I think units with nimble, units with duelist, or other ways to utilize dodge tokens. I think it's worth noting that this gives you less dodge tokens than up close and personal for most units that like when you are like, oh, I want to take up close and personal, oftentimes it's because you have gunslinger and you're getting multiple dodge tokens out of the deal. And these, I believe, are the same points cost, right?
That is correct, yes.
Yeah. So, and most people have decided, I think the Legion community, like writ large, has decided that up close and personal is not really worth it. If you're only getting one,
Will by Grievous.
Well,
if you're only getting one,
if you're only getting one, right? So using that as kind of like a litmus, I'm not really sure this is good.
Well, but what if you do have nimble?
Well, my question then would be, are the units with nimble taking up close and personal?
No.
Because up close and personal is like significantly less restrictive than this card when it comes to actually generating the dodge token.
So the interesting thing is that the thing that you get out of this is actually like kind of similar to the Rebel Sleeper Cell Astromech.
Yeah.
Although with that one, if you have multiple moves that are next to a POI, you would actually get 2 dodge tokens.
Or 3 if it's your first turn.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, you would only get 1, and this is 2 points less than that. And the Astromech, now that it's 10 points, is a sometimes food.
Yes.
To make a reference to Sesame Street. And so like it's not taken every single time, but obviously this is takeable in many more situations. But like if you think of, okay, so like tell me, if we think of the possibilities of taking this, Rebel troopers are out unless you have an
captain.
A captain.
Yep.
Which is not super commonly taken, but I guess that's the thing you could do is you could have a captain with a heavy.
It's probably only like 20 points because the captains are super cheap in Rebels, like everything else.
Yeah, that's. So if you have a captain and SX-21, that's a total of 22 points investment. And then if you added this, it would be a total of 30 points investment.
For the cheap cost of a heavy weapon and other packages.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Then you're talking about like sort of, I think it's the thing you can do. It doesn't seem like the craziest thing in the world.
Well, the thing is, like, how much is one extra dodge token in those situations really worth when you're already triggering agile?
Yeah, and you're already moving, right?
Yeah.
So in that situation, like, so yeah, Rebel Troopers, now that you mention it, they're not getting a lot of extra utility out of it. And like, what are the other nimble?
There's not a lot of nimble units
troopers
that don't generate dodge tokens just by
like Jyn
just by
around.
existing. I think the one that comes to mind is Iden.
Padme, Leia.
Padme has agile.
Padme has agile. Leia doesn't have agile.
Leia might. I don't know. I'm not sure that like we're in the business of making Leia more expensive.
No.
No, I agree with that. That's fair.
But
yeah, Iden maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see maybe Iden. Iden's got a larger health pool to work with. I think she tends to be stuck in a little bit more. She also her like melee pool's not terrible when she's got Dio, who I believe is free now.
Yeah, Dio's free now.
Yeah.
I could see some places. I think overall, I agree with you. There's relatively few places, and so it's probably like a D in terms of like the total number of places where you'd want to put this, and that I actually think of everything we've mentioned, Iden is maybe the best example of getting continuing utility out of this because she has nimble and because she is often spending time near POIs and doesn't generate her own dodges barely ever.
Yeah. I think this should probably be like 6 instead of 8.
Yeah, probably. What grade would you give it, Mike?
Yeah, I think I'm in the D category. I think that's yeah.
Cool. Agile climber. Not expert climber, agile climber. It can be combined with expert climber, though. So there you go. Trooper only, white save only. When this unit starts, and it's 3 points, training. When this unit starts a climb, you may exhaust this card. If you do, this unit uses the movement tool matching its speed during this climb instead of the speed 1 tool. So just as a reminder to folks, because it barely ever comes up, but expert climber allows you to use a climb action to get up to height 2. Whereas you still need to use the speed 1 template. The restrictions on this card, 3 restrictions to mention. So it's the fact that it is a training, the fact that it's trooper only, the fact that it's white saves only does cut down on the utility of this by a decent amount. So you're not going to be putting this on your ATRTs or your spiders, or you're not going to be putting these on any Republic units or Empire units, pretty much.
Hey, man, you could put it on Padme, okay?
But what it kind of does is that it kind of gives you jump as a tap.
I am scared of making that comparison because I think people will start to get the rules wrong. Because this is still a climb, it will not trigger tactical or agile or things like that. This is not a jump, and I want to be
from
really
a horizontal movement standpoint,
yes.
but not with other rules situations.
Yes,
it would give you the equivalent of Uno jump, and because this taps, it's once again a situation where you would have to assume that the vast majority of the time, you are only going to do this once, unless you have access to some kind of free recover, which is not easy to get except in Mandos, who have absolutely no use for this card. And
they literally can't take it.
They literally can't take it. And so I guess like my first thought when I saw this is Wookiees. To get, and it made me sad when I had that thought, because I was like, this kind of gives you a little bit of the old school scale stuff. Man, I love the old scale so much, and then they took all of my fun away.
Get with the club, man. Join the program.
With Wookiees, believe me, I've been joining that club for a long time, and I'll continue to be a member of that club for the foreseeable future. And yeah, like it's true that 3 points isn't a lot, but because this is, again, it's like a card with narrow range, it feels like it's a sometimes food, but it's even more of a sometimes food than the one that we were just talking about. I just don't see it being very good. Mike, what do you think?
Throw it on the grappling hooks, environmental gear, ascension cable pile. They're just not. They're not reliably doing the things that you want them to be doing enough to warrant putting them in your army most of the time.
I want this to be 1 point.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, even then, like,
I would put it on Wookiees at 1 point every time. Okay. Just because, like, that's where I would be like, yeah, well, that's where
it's like I could have 5 of these, or I could have fire control.
Well,
or like, let me ask you this question. Let follow up that question. Let's take fire control out of the equation, because it's a ridiculous card, and that's obvious. Would you rather have 6 of these or an extra tenacity or offensive push?
If I could spam on my army, I think I would take 6 of these.
Okay.
Yeah.
How confident?
That's why I want it to be 1 point.
Okay.
It's like I'd say that's a B confidence level.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm gonna give this card a D. Wookiees are the first and only situation that I can think of where this does have, because it would need to basically be a melee focused weight save unit. And so I guess like the other thing that you could say is that if you put this on Cassian, it gives him a little bit more movement potential in order to get to where he needs to go. Like, Cassian does climb around sometimes. You can charge off a climb. So it's not the worst thing, but or actually, no, sorry. This doesn't have the training slot thing. So you can't even do that because the fleets don't have the natural training slot, right? So forget I even said any of that. Yeah, Wookiees is all I got. What do you got, Mike?
So first of all, I think it's an F. Second of all, I think maybe Sunfac. I know that sounds crazy on the surface, but this does allow you to essentially like
Double
speed,
jump, kinda,
right?
Yeah.
Which might be okay.
Yeah.
You know,
and you could do it onto height too because he has scale also.
Right. So I don't know.
Although I do think that with Sunfac, I would actually probably sooner take the hit the dirt than this.
I don't disagree. Like, but as far as places that I'm like even like half considering, where I don't know, it's a stretch.
And hey, like we talked about Sunfac, how about Wicked also? Wicked could take Forest Dwellers and this and hit the dirt.
Yeah.
And just be a zippy boy that is like extra hard to kill. That could be kind of annoying, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it might be okay. Yeah. Honestly, Ewoks probably this isn't terrible on generally.
Yeah, I actually have to remind myself. So the skirmishers.
I mean, they definitely all have training slots because they can all take Forest Dwellers, right?
Yeah. But like the thing is that Forest Dwellers is so good that they're usually taking that anyway.
Well, I mean, Forest Dwellers is infinitely better than this card.
Is way better than this.
Like,
and so I think actually though, if you take the Trapper, you get an extra training slot.
There you go.
So there you go.
There you
go. for the one Trapper that you might take in Ewok Army, maybe you would put this on there. In addition to Forest Dwellers, just to squeeze some extra fun out of there. But yeah, okay. Not a lot of utility. Let's move on. Go for broke. 5-point trooper only during the remove token step. If this unit has one or more suppression tokens, it may choose not to remove suppression tokens. If it does not remove any suppression tokens, choose one green token on this unit. The chosen token is not removed, Mike.
Yeah.
Mike, you have the floor. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think this is actually really good. I think a lot of people's immediate reaction were like, this is really good in Republic. And my immediate reaction was like, I'm sorry, we have tokens at the end of the round. We barely have tokens during the round. I think there are lots of places this is good. I don't think it's in Republic. I think that there are a variety of units that you are often trying to like hold tokens on with Vigilance. And I think that it is not strictly better because there are some conditions on this card. But if you would like to keep your tokens, you always can. Like, it's not like you are forced to remove them, right? Yeah. So, and I think specifically when we're talking about characters where Vigilance, you're paying 9 points to hold one token, like paying 5 points to hold one token is just much, much better. And if that goes for like core units too, right? Or like things that are not core units, Vigilance only hits 2 tokens if it's core units. And I don't know. I just think there are lots of lists that have like nimble units or whatever that can really benefit from this card. We've talked about Iden already. We've talked about Padme. I think those really good on them. I think any list that has a bunch of units that have, I don't know, Mandalorians are stronger together, probably would really like to have this card in like massive quantities, right? Like literally every Mandalorian list ever, if it has Bo-Katan in it, probably is going to run some number of this card. I don't know what the number is. Paying 50 points to put it on all your units is steep, but also I'm already paying 18 for 2 copies of Vigilance and paying 20 for just playing +2 for 4 copies of this is going to net me more tokens almost every time because I'm rarely ever holding 2 on core units. And this lets you keep aims. Worse, surges in the situations where that's relevant. I think this is really good. The suppression token thing gives you a choice to, if you have like a unit that's panicked or something that you need to resolve. But at the end of the day, you're really only paying 1 suppression token for a token in the instances that you're not removing suppression tokens, right? It's just the remove token steps. It's not like you're giving up your rally or anything. So yeah, I think this card's really good. I don't think it's super broken or anything on its face. I think that there are going to be situations where it feels really dumb.
But obviously you have to have a list that can get utility out of it, but that there's various ways to do that.
Yes, I think the primary thing with this is that it doesn't like generate the tokens on its own, like adaptive control network, where it's just like everybody gets the things. You do have to like put some effort. Sometimes it's a very narrow amount of effort because there's some armies that get tokens naturally. But do weak ways have a training slot?
They do.
Is it worth it on weak ways? I don't know, but they pretty much always will have a token. Because of their swashbuckling thing. Yeah, I think this is fine.
That, as well as Pirate Captain, is often giving them tokens off the wheelos,
and they've got Nimble too,
right? They don't have Nimble.
Oh, no. They don't have Nimble. Okay, maybe it's less good.
Swashbuckler is their, and then they have independent aim 1. So which in combination with Swashbuckler usually means that they start with an aim and end up with a dodge. But they often are not using that dodge.
Sure, because they're safe in melee.
They're safe in melee, and that unit's already been activated. There's potentially utility. I do also want to mention that there's a couple of situations where this actually ends up being pure bonus, and maybe this would need rules clarification, but riddle me this, Mike. If either you are on a POI on Cauldron, or if you are Bright Tree Village, does the fact that you wouldn't be removing the tokens anyway take away from you being able to use this card?
I think the way that this card reads is like, I think the first
you would still get the bonus.
The first sentence, I think, is completely removed. Like, it's not an if then, right? The second sentence is not dependent on the first sentence happening.
Yeah, you're right. So, because the only stipulation for the second sentence is if it did not remove any suppression tokens.
Correct.
And obviously, in those situations, you wouldn't remove them in any scenario.
Yes.
And so, with Cauldron, because that's specific to a certain battle card, that wouldn't come into play all that often. But if you're playing Bright Tree, you would never be able to do this anyway. That's also true in Tempest if you are far away from your commander and you don't have the comms upgrade or whatever it is. And it might be worth actually taking on your slingers because 2 reasons. One, usually 2 of your slingers are getting Scout 2 from Wicket, and so you don't need to put Forest Dwellers on them, which means that their training slot is typically empty. And then slingers have independent reliable 1, which means that like keeping that surge token around. They also have target 1, but that aim pretty much always gets spent. Except for maybe round 1, in which case, but then they often wouldn't have suppression token. I don't know, like it would have to take some tooling around in terms of like which lists are going to get the most utility out of this. But I do think that that Padme is maybe the first example that I would think of.
I think any unit that always has a token, and by that I mean
At least after activating.
After activating, and then like needs to generate it the next turn, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, anybody with nimble, anybody with Mandalorians are stronger together. Anything that provides a synergy like that. I think I don't want to say this is staple to them, but I think this is a strong consideration for it.
Yeah.
Particularly like once you get to like, oh, I can't buy another activation. I think Go for Broke is probably one of the first things you want to be considering playing. And if you're playing Go for Broke, I do think you also like Cauldron just instantly goes into your battle deck a lot of times.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, and actually maybe another situation where you could use this would be on generic super attacks, which are often, because of aid, carrying suppression tokens around, and they have a natural courage 3
Sure.
on top of being droid troopers, so they can just like use this to hold on to extra tokens potentially. Yeah, so I don't know. It's worth experimenting. I would give this a B.
I think I'm in
and
the A
Padme-
range on this. I think any list that is playing Vigilance probably is going to consider this card or just replace Vigilance with multiple copies of this, depending on what their normal Vigilance targets are.
Yeah. Definitely get extra value if you, there's multiple things that give it extra value. So like one of the first ones that I think of also is actually Jin, because she has danger sense anyway, and she has nimble, and so like it's just like extra dodges that you're piling up. I don't know. It's worth experimenting.
Yeah, I think it's kind of too bad that you can't get a training slot on Pikes.
That's the first thing that I looked at, and I was like, oh, Pikes don't have a training slot.
Yeah.
The only thing they can get is hit the dirt.
Because they want this super bad.
Yeah, Pikes would love this so much,
Yeah.
but yeah, tough for them. Okay, so this is the last of the training slots, and it sort of transitions us to the force half of the podcast, which we'll be getting to. But this is
Hold
strong
on
the
to
force.
your butts.
5 points, and this may only be equipped by a unit that has one or more force upgrade slots. This unit gains independent aim or dodge. So, Mike, this is the sort of card that I looked at first and I was like, oh, this is really good. But then the more I thought about it, the colder I got on it.
Yeah.
Where do you come down on how good this actually is?
I think there are situations where this card is fine.
Yeah.
I think 80 to 90% of the time you should like never consider taking this.
You should have orders on your Jedi.
Yeah.
Like please.
Like consider seize the initiative before deciding to play with your Jedi without orders. Would be my first recommendation in the slot for the same amount of points.
And so appropriately, we were talking about this on our Fifth Trooper Discord a little bit with some of our patrons. I think the first place that my mind went to was Maul and Asajj.
Yep.
Because in CIS, because of reverse sorting, you can end up in a situation to where you have like decent order control despite not having face ups on your Jedi.
Yes.
And with Asajj, she already has independent dodge, and so this like adds to that, and then that can combo with Jarkai to get extra value out of that. I think it's maybe better on her than it is on Maul, because Maul ends up being accidentally order hungry because you usually want to use his command cards at least a couple times in the game, whereas Asajj, you can kind of go without using her commands if you build your list right.
Yes.
So I think it is maybe best on Asajj. The other choices so like if we use her as an example, she has 2 training slots. The other choices she has are Into the Fray and Tenacity. I think that you're probably, well, yeah. So like those are 3 training slots that I think are at least worth thinking about.
Yeah.
And in most lists, where would you come down on the 2 that you would pick out of those 3?
Into the Fray is definitely better than this card.
And she can also take Seize the Initiative, we should mention.
Yeah. Assuming that you actually have a reliable reverse order sort, we can take Seize the Initiative out for a second, I think.
Sure, for sure.
Tenacity or this card, I actually think that this card on Asajj specifically is more often better than Tenacity.
Because of Jarkai.
Because of Jarkai, yes.
Yeah,
Tenacity
yeah.
is close to a hit if you're wounded.
Mm-hmm.
Independent dodge, assuming you're triggering it every time, is always a hit. And
Literally a hit. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, so obviously the ceiling is raised on Tenacity, which is relevant, but I don't think, like, it's pretty not common to full boat with her anyways. Just with the pool. So I think I'm on I think that this is probably better on her. I think it's super by like a narrow margin though. I don't think it's like terrible if you decided to go the Tenacity route, to be clear.
Yeah.
You know.
I think I'm with you there. It doesn't end up being a weird rules thing, right? To where she would have two different independent keywords, because she would have independent dodge 1 and then independent aim or dodge. I think that there's just like sort of in your imaginary unit card that has all the added stuff, they would just go one after the other and they trigger separately.
I would think
I can't think of any reason why there would actually be conflict there, because they are technically two different keywords.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I don't think so either, but I'm also like, when we get into the weeds, into the weeds, I become less confident. So
yeah. I'm just like looking at the way the independent is phrased. And yeah, I don't think that it would have any conflict. So, but yeah, like, so Asajj is a potential one. I don't see this. Like, the other potential thing would be if you were an imaginary a very imaginary, in my opinion, Republic army, to where you had a whole bunch of generic Jedi that are not going to commonly have order tokens on them at all. Then is it worth putting this on there if you're sort of treating them as like throwaway-ish units? Like, if you have some naked Jedi Guardians with double-bladed lightsabers, is it worth putting this on there? What do you think, Mike?
No, I don't think so. But not in the, like, it wouldn't be okay in that situation. I just like 5 to 10 points in Republic's like a really, really tall ask, I think, generally. For stuff that is not changing your board state like pretty significantly.
And then how about for Garasoka? Is she?
I think that's probably the second place that this is like maybe a question. You know, I don't know. I think unfortunately her command slot is now fire control, so instead of improvised orders, so the independent thing is a little bit of a non-bow. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess like the question being how many Republic units how many Republic armies are triggering, or even reliably triggering, her independent recover in a way that it would potentially matter for whatever force power you're putting on her?
I have yet to see somebody actually
make use of
that in a way. It's just Republic armies have
her commands
issues
are decent.
Republic armies
and they order
have issues
her
with orders.
Yeah, although actually her commands
can issue any unit. They
can issue to any. That's right. That's right. So that part is nice.
It certainly helps, but again, we go back to the like, do you want your 100-point super fragile force user to not have orders? The answer is no.
Usually no.
Like, of course I want to have an order on there. So
yeah,
I don't think this pushes you. This incentive is high enough to make that a thing.
Yeah. So I think it's a C, just because there's so few units that I think really get utility out of it. But I do think that it's a strong consideration on Asajj specifically.
Yeah.
And then after that is sort of maybe. Okay, so let's get to the force powers. And we're going to start with my favorite because of the name alone. I think that, so this is 12 points. Annul. When an enemy unit within range 2 of this unit uses a force upgrade slot, that is not annul, comma, if this unit is not suppressed, comma. This unit may gain up to 3 suppression tokens. For each suppression token you gain, roll 1 red defense die. If the roll does not, If the roll contains any block or surge results, cancel the effect of the enemy force upgrade. So it's like Inquisitorious training was too hard to pull off with its 1 out of 3 chance of failing. And so they just like had to make it easier to really make sure that you take fun away from your opponent. We'll get to that part in a second. I do want to mention right off the bat, unless we are wildly misinterpreting the rules of this, there is one unit that definitely cannot take this, which is Commander Darth Vader, because he cannot take suppression tokens, and therefore he cannot pay the cost of using this.
I mean, he can take the upgrade. He
could take the. You just would never be able to use it. Yeah. And then
Commander Vader
on top
specifically.
of Commander Vader, Operative Vader would potentially be able to take it. Should he? We'll get to that. And then also,
well, to that end, fifth brother, while he's enraged, also.
I was going to say that's the other weird example is that an enraged fifth brother also wouldn't be able to use this, which is pretty hilarious. But yeah, so at 12 points, this, if it weren't for a different upgrade that we'll get to, this would be the new second most expensive force power. But it is one of the more expensive ones, obviously. Inquisitorious training, as of right now, not seeing a ton of play, but that is
that's such an understatement. It's like the understatement of the century.
That is majorly affected by the units it is attached to in terms of legality. We should mention
it's also not a force upgrade,
and it's also not a force upgrade, and also, as we mentioned, this has the potential to make it almost a sure thing. Well, like the chance of blanking out on three is like really low. But it comes down to, is it worth it to do this?
So I do want to just like point out a couple more differences, because Inquisitorious training only hits upgrades that tap.
Oh yeah, that's true.
A null hits any force upgrade when it's used ever.
That's not a null.
That's not a null.
Yeah.
Which I think is like a pretty big distinction, in that like Inquisitorious training does not hit burst of speed. It does not hit, any of the new discards. It does not hit hope. It does not, what the list goes on, right?
Sure.
A null hits all of those things. And that I think that's a bit. I'm not saying that makes it good, but I do think it is like a very different use case.
Also, does Inquisitorious tap?
It does not.
Okay, so they're both potentially, you can use it unlimited times per round. Although with this one, you would be piling on a bunch of suppression tokens if you did that over and over and over again.
Yes, and I mean the only, you're going to be suppressed very quickly. You can probably do it once in a way that is super effective.
I should have put this last, because I do feel like a lot of the conversation about how useful this is kind of goes hand in hand with how useful do we think these other force upgrades are going to be.
Well, I think there are a lot of limitations on this card generally, just from like you can't be suppressed. Like your opponent can control that. Like your opponent could like give you suppression tokens so that you can't use this.
Right? This also takes up a force slot, which is a huge limitation.
Huge limitation, right? And in some matchups, it's just going to be bricked because they're not going to have a Jedi.
Yeah, like I have one force slot, I ain't spending it on a null. Right? Or even I have like 2 force slots, I ain't spending it on a null.
Probably not.
Yeah.
That also requires you to keep your force user within range 2 of their force user in order for a null to even go off. In a lot of
big battlefield.
In a lot of situations, like you don't even want to do that most of the time. One is like avoiding the other often,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I do think that this is probably. I'm going to shout out right now that my gut instinct, since this is, I think the other big difference between Inquisitorious training and a null is that Inquisitorious training is tied to like 2 really crappy units.
Yes.
A null, I actually think if you consider the use case of like putting it on Jedi hunters, I'm looking at Asajj, I'm looking at Dooku. We get into a very interesting conversation when we're looking at Force users that want to actually go hunt other Force users on the battlefield. I think a null becomes a much more interesting conversation that we didn't get to have before with Inquisitorious training from a like use case standpoint.
Yes.
Is this upgrade a card that should exist in the game? I don't think so. from like these effects feel terrible.
It feels really bad. I mean, this is like, and this goes back to Fifth Trooper's own history with Inquisitorious training, and the bad gut reaction that you and Kyle had when that was like first revealed.
I still have
so
that.
long ago.
Like I still feel that way.
Yeah, but we don't actually feel it because Inquisitors suck, and so like it hasn't been something that we've had to like experience in our daily Legion life.
I hope that continues to be true because hopefully Anil is just bad. But
yeah, and my gut is that like you said, there's very few characters that I would actually want to spend 12 points to take up a Force slot with this.
yes.
And I think that for me, that list of characters might literally be Count Dooku.
I think you have to have Makashi Mastery probably to really warrant taking this card. And if you don't, I think it's like less good. But I will say, if Jedi ever actually become like, I don't know, taken a lot and like, good, like super good all over the place, like this card is very strong.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, like so matchup dependent, and so I'm gonna give it I guess I'm gonna give it like a C, because I do think that on Dooku it does have the potential to be really good meta depending, but that to me that's sort of the only use case that I can think of right now. Like where do you come down grade wise?
I think I'm on a C, and I think part of the reason for that is, and I hate to say this because it's going to come circle back around and rear its ugly head in a couple months, but they're starting to print units that only have one command card, which means Jedi powers are going to be loaded in the Force slot.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
Like, and they have to be, otherwise they're just going in the garbage bin. And so, the units that are going to be less affected by this are things that have Vader's mites or whatever the effects like that a null cannot hit, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't have command cards that do things, the null is gonna hit all your stuff.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Mace Windu.
So you might say that that the other Force powers that are geared towards actually like engaging in combat are and getting tokens and stuff like that are universally useful, whereas getting this full and null effect is pretty tough, and in that way it's similar to how the difference between divorce and annulment in real life. Like I think that this card just cracks me up, because like the only thing, like I saw this card and like the first thought I had was like, Henry VIII started a whole religion about this. And it's just like, there were some memes this morning of Mace Windu saying this marriage is over. When really it should be this marriage never happened technically. But so again, the weirdest possible name that I could have ever thought, like I would have said nullification or negation or something. Anyway, a null. There you go. It's a C. Battle Mind. Not battle meditation, Mike, because that one's illegal. So we had to basically make the pre-K word version of battle meditation, which is not actually a word. Battle Mind It is 8 points. When this unit or an allied trooper unit within range 1 attacks, you may tap this card. If you do, upgrade 2 of the attacking unit's attack dice. And at the end of the unit's activation, you may ready this card. So this is like, again, referring to the math we talked about before. This is a repeatable half of an aim token that you can basically just use for the entire game on yourself if you want to. Which, for a Jedi, like, if it's a Jedi that is only using it on themselves, means that you would maximum probably be able to use this like 3 times in your average game. But like, because you can help out somebody next to you, that like if you move that Jedi out first, then you could tap it when somebody else does a move shoot with their ranged attack, and then you're getting like some extra upgrades out of it. But it is still 8 points for. It's like, the best possible scenario is that you get basically 2.5 aim tokens
3
worth of extra.
3, right?
Or
because
3, right? Because of you could
get
like
5
recover this and then
refreshes.
do it again.
You recover it every turn, every time you activate, right? So you would get 5 end of activation refreshes plus.
Oh, right. But to get the full 6, you would need to have a prepared positions Jedi, I think, because the unit would have to be within range 1 when they trigger it, which means that if the Jedi is off the board, they wouldn't be able to do it.
Yes.
But yes, you're right. You maximum you get 3 aim tokens worth out of this. And so then the question comes down to, is that worth 8 points? That would be 18 points worth if you use the offensive push example. And so this one, it seems kind of iffy to me, but what do you think, Mike?
I think if this was the only upgrade card in this pack that upgraded dice, I think I would feel a lot better about this.
Yeah, me too.
But since fire control exists, this feels like just like a slap in the face. Honestly, to
the
Jedi,
fact this is more expensive than fire control is hilarious.
It's actually insane. like 4 slots should be like things in 4 slots should be cheaper for the same power level, I think, generally.
Yeah.
As other upgrades that are not in 4 slots. And the fact that this is just like, yeah, man, at maximum you can upgrade 12 dice a game. And fire controls over here, like, yeah, I can do that in like 3 activations. What's up? Like, it's just it's I think Battle Mine is probably fine if your goal is to upgrade your own dice. I think that this is a band-aid way to make the Republic Jedi feel a little bit more oomphy. I think it goes a long way to maybe. I don't want to use the word fix because I think they're too expensive already, and tacking another 8 points on there is not my idea of how to fix that unit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, an upgrade that's good for a different reason, which is the independent or the reliable 2 upgrade. It kind of by accident also gives them prepared positions, and so that way you would potentially be able to get that extra use out of it
For sure.
because they would be out there to start out with. You can move out there with a RPS or like a mortar or something, and then hilariously, if upgrades work the way we think it would, is that if you combine this with fire control, then you can do a double red mortar attack for at least one of them, and fully undo the hashtag uncumbersome downgrade effect, which is kind of hilarious. So yeah, like I think that there's certain situations. Maybe another example is like you think about Ton Luke. Right now people are mostly putting saber throw on him in order to make his ranged attack better. But this would also be able to make his melee attack better, and therefore you would be getting use out of it every round. Like, it doesn't seem super bad there. I think that there's like a few different examples where this is a good idea.
I agree. I also this whole at the end of this unit's activation, you may ready this card thing. This is not the first time we're gonna see this on a Force upgrade.
Correct. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this. From like it significantly devalues
Master of the Force.
Master of the Force.
Yes.
Which I was under the impression that's what we were paid for.
Exactly.
And most of these effects are like significantly better than, I shouldn't say significantly better, are better.
Hold your thought on that,
Yeah.
because there's a couple upgrade cards to come where I think that it just like shines the brightest possible spotlight on the exact thing that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So let's hold your fire on that one.
Yep.
Battle Mind, the grade. I think that because there's some characters where this does make pure sense, because there's other Force upgrades that just aren't as good for that character, like a Tom Luke. And then I'm sure there's other examples. The generic Jedi, I think, is another good example. I'm going to give it a B. Like, I think there's places where it's good.
I think B is reasonable. I do think that in present company, it is definitely too expensive.
Yeah, but yeah, there are some characters where I do think it makes sense. Yeah. Okay, Force Agility, 8 points. At the start of this unit's activation, you may discard this card. If you do, this unit gains disengage this round. So nice and easy. And this is where, like, Mike, I think you and I had the same thought in terms of character that would potentially get use out of this, and that was Anakin Skywalker, right?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think there's a lot of characters that could get use out of this. I think this is kind of like a budget Force push, is how I would describe this. That is a discard.
Yes.
I do think that 8 might be overvaluing this effect.
Maybe by a little. Yeah. I don't think it's vastly overcosted.
I don't think so either, but I'm sad that this is not a repeatable effect. Outside of like,
except for
don't just
no. Okay, let's talk about it.
All right.
I believe it is the Jedi Negotiator training upgrade.
Sure.
That is and we've talked about this before, is that the thing that it does is that it changes the discard effects of your Force upgrades to a exhaust effect instead. Yeah. Before, it was only useful on bursts of speed, which kind of sucked anyway, because you kept getting the immobilized token, which was the reason why that thing didn't really work. Yeah. But then the one place where it truly was repeatable and that it might have made a difference was clairvoyance, which would mean that you can like get multiple rerolls as the game goes on of either attack or defense dice. And I think it's theoretically not terrible there.
Sure.
And so, again, it's sort of an in theory thing, but I posted this in our Discord it's a 152 point generic Jedi General, where you are starting with giving him a double-bladed lightsaber and the Jedi Guardian subclass, of course.
Yeah.
And then if you put peacekeeping mission, which is the preposition Sentinel thing, and then you also give, or wait, are you allowed to have 2 Jedi trainings?
No.
You're not, so you're only allowed to have 1 Jedi training.
Correct, because the actual title of the card is Jedi training. Yeah.
Okay, so never mind. You're not going to give peacekeeping mission. You're going to put Force Adept, because that's the thing that actually changes this.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. You could give tenacity, and then for Force powers, if you do agility and clairvoyance, and then you can sort of like pick your poison for the third one. Like maybe you would want to have something else that you can get the Master of the Force things. So maybe the Force Absorb, which is the new semi-barrier. Mm-hmm. So if you put all those things on there, then it's 149 points. You have this guy that can hop out of melee at will, sort of, and therefore by doing that, you would be able to get the tactical, like the double tactical of moving around, in order to power up your double-bladed lightsaber, with both lethal and reroll. So,
or You could just
Okay.
take the Jedi Knight General, take Jedi Guardian and the double-bladed lightsaber, and just take Force Push for 155.
Okay, that's probably better. I'm trying here, Mike. I'm trying.
Like, I get where you're going with this, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But like, so the thing about the reason would be is that if you combine clairvoyance with absorb, then you are making that Jedi General very tanky. Because like the clairvoyance basically gives you sort of a Ceresa reroll that you can potentially use multiple times, and then the absorb is basically functions similarly to a shield or a dodge token. And the absorb comes back every time, so you could, on the way in, you can reuse your clairvoyance on defense if you get shot, and then after that you can reuse the disengage with Master of the Force. Like you can kind of pick which one you do.
Why don't we talk about that when we get to Force Absorb?
Okay, we'll talk about that when we get to Force Absorb. But I don't know. It's a thing you can do. Is that worth? Like, people aren't doing the Jedi General with Force Push now. So I think that it would probably also not be worth it on this unit.
That only gets it once and can't move things around the battlefield. Yeah, probably not.
There we go. We've had the Force Adept conversation. But let's get back to just talking about. I do think that this can make a budget Anakin without Force Push a more of a consideration than it had been before. And maybe else, like, what are the other ones that it's good with? Maybe Asajj for this one too.
I think anybody that is like, I actually think that this upgrade is basically fine on any Jedi really that doesn't already get disengaged somehow.
Yeah, so I guess like, but
like I think this is great on Commander Luke. This is great on like anybody that doesn't have Master of the Force that can't like really like justify taking Force Push. I think just making sure that you're not locked down by like a single B1 model and just being able to jettison yourself out of melee and actually like double move charge what you need. Like the issue with Force, like the main issue with not having Force Push is that your opponent can then just decide to take their least valuable unit, push it into you, and you're up a creek in that scenario. And there's like not a ton you can do about it unless you have like another unit that can like clear that unit out for your guy,
yeah, that's fair.
And so I think that this takes away that. It's one of the
Ahsoka could get good use out of this.
I mean, that scenario is one of the reasons Force Push is required, I think, on a lot of units. Yeah. And I think Force Agility gives you a release valve for that.
Yeah, I agree with that. So even though, I think Anakin is the best example, but I think we can give this an A.
Yeah, I'll give it an A. I'm unhappy that it is 8 points, but I'll give it.
But
an
it's
A.
good. It's good.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting into some affiliation locked cards. So we got Helping Hand, light side only, 5 points. When another allied trooper unit within range 1 of this unit would make a move action, you may exhaust this card. If you do, the allied unit instead makes a action jump 1 and gains 1 dodge token. At the end of this unit's activation, ready this card. So if it was just the jump, then this would be bad, like definitely bad. It is not just the jump. It is a jump and a dodge. And it does come back every round. It does have a pretty good restriction. Like it has a pretty important restriction, which is the range 1 thing. Not impossible, but it means that certain guys, such as like it's one example of where I would not put this, I'm pretty sure, is like taunt Luke, because he's just going to have better things to do and he's often going to be out in his zone and doing his thing. But I don't know, like, do you see this going anywhere, Mike?
I mean, I don't know. I think if there's a world where you end up spamming Jedi Knights, which I don't think exists right now, having like 4 copies of this is sort of interesting. In that like that's 4 extra dodge tokens every turn, you know.
Yeah.
And it turns like a bunch of clone units into like Mandalorians as far as like jumping around and stuff goes. You know, it's fine.
The fact that it automatically comes back is definitely the thing that makes it more considerable.
Yeah, I think yeah.
What are the nimble what are the nimble units that don't generate their own dodges?
There's not
to
many,
where
you know, specifically on the light side.
yeah.
The,
Sleeper Cell without a astromech
yeah.
is one of them. And so maybe if you're doing that,
I do think it's funny that this is like way worse than Overclock.
it was way worse than Overclock.
Overclock's like, here you can have a free move. Just no, it's free.
Now that
yeah,
like, you know, we have yet to preview some of these, but I think I can go ahead and say now that the state of the techno force is strong. And it remains strong. I think that even as we get all these, I am still on the boat that the techno force is better than the actual force.
yeah. I mean, I would say that the gap has narrowed, but I don't think
It's narrowed. It's
by that
narrowed.
much.
Yes. So we don't want to be totally unfair, but yeah, overclock alone is, I think, still the best out of any techno force or force upgrade in the game.
Yeah.
Where overclock and slice comms, I think, are actually still the top 2 if you put all of those upgrades together. Is where I would come down on it. So the state of the techno force is still strong. But yeah, again, this is like a list dependent one, but
I'm not sure.
I do think that there are units
I think
can.
It's like if you don't have anything else to do, like take this. I think.
Yeah, because it is 5 points for probably at least like 3 dodge tokens, which is certainly not terrible. So yeah, I give it a B.
Yeah,
but
I think,
and yeah, like the first character that I would probably think of that it goes on is one of the generic like Jedi generals that's just like kind of hanging out at the start of the game. To maybe give clones some shareable dodges. So there you go. Maybe it's sort of clone oriented ish card. All right, cool. Let's get to some dark side upgrades. Force Drain. This is 14 points. So this is the one I mentioned that is even more expensive than Force Annul.
it's just a null.
Sorry, it's just a null. So this is a exhaust free action. Choose an enemy unit, engage with this unit, and roll 3 black attack dice. For each hit rolled, the enemy unit gains 1 suppression token. After the effect is resolved, if the enemy unit is panicked, it gains 1 poison token, and this unit removes 1 wound token. If the enemy unit is suppressed but not panicked, it gains 1 immobilized token. So those are either or conditions. And the like the roll, like that roll can add suppression tokens, but it is worth mentioning that if you use this power and then even if you blank out on your black attack dice, if that unit is already suppressed or panicked by some other means, then the associated effect would still happen. So Mike, obviously this is expensive. It's dark side only, and it taps, and it goes into a 4 slot.
Yep.
And all of these things are relevant in terms of talking about what the potential use of this is. I think that this card looks stronger than it actually is in terms of like reading the text off the page, so to speak. But where do you come down on where Force Drain is actually going to sort of fit into the game?
Hot take. I think this card is really bad. I
I
think
think I agree with you.
I think there are a lot of stipulations on this card for what I would describe as a marginal effect. From like, okay, so you first of all, it only can hit units you're engaged with. That's pretty limiting just from the jump, right? If you're
Yeah.
engaged with a unit, it can't be shot,
Mm-hmm.
which means that like you have probably had to just engage it while also not killing it with charge and relentless.
Sure.
Right? So maybe you're like also force pushing something into you after you killed something. I you know, I don't know. Um and then like hitting the panic thing, unless your name is like Darth Vader. Um
Hang on.
yeah.
My counterexample to this, and I agree with you for the most part that I think that this, for most guys, this is actually not worth it. But the one situation where this did pique my interest is Dooku specifically, because A, he has 3 slots, and B, Dooku is a CIS unit, which means that you have slice comms around as well as demoralize around,
Sure.
which means that you can just pile on suppression tokens onto whoever you want to,
That's fair.
which also enables this card. Anyway, so go ahead, continue.
I think that's fair. I guess the question there is like, what utility is this actually giving you? It's essentially, I think the only time you want this card is when you're healing. Like the poison token, as opposed to like just choking something out, is like significantly worse.
Well, but force choke can't target operatives or commanders.
Sure, that's fair. I don't know. I think it's, yeah.
And then like the argument would be that it would allow Dooku to basically kind of, it's a delayed effect, but it's almost like an extra pierce out of the Makashi is the way that I kind of think about it. That, obviously that would only take place after that unit's activation, but if you're fighting against another Jedi, then it allows you to sort of whittle them down that much faster. And then the other potential thing it can do is if they're suppressed but not panicked, then if you're activating early with Dooku, and they're suppressed but not panicked, then you can make sure that they can't withdraw in order to allow Dooku to be shot that round, which is sometimes a danger with Fear, Surprise, Intimidation.
For sure
is that you go in there and murder the thing, and then they just back out of there, and then Dooku can die from just being shot by a billion people.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do think
Yeah.
that I like the immobilize clause on this better than the poison clause. I think that is far more relevant.
Which actually means that you would sometimes want to blank out on your attack dice, because you can't choose how many attack dice you roll. Like, you have to roll 3 of them. It's not optional.
Yeah.
But again, with the Fear, Surprise, Intimidation example, since you're already putting 2 suppression tokens on them anyway, is that you actually might accidentally panic them.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's kind of awkward.
Yeah.
I do think most of the time you should just take force choke. I agree that in Dooku's case, like the poison token, he does go around hunting other Jedi, and this is in that scenario. But it is tough to panic Jedi,
Not when you have Demoralize and Slice comms everywhere and Dooku, for what it's worth. It's not that hard to panic.
You're going to get nerfed, Evan. It's going to happen.
Hey, man, I don't play CIS anymore. I'm playing a fair army.
Okay.
So yeah, like, I think Dooku, maybe I actually agree with you that on all the other examples that I can think of, which includes Vader, who, yes, like, he can get suppression tokens on guys, but that is command card dependent.
Yeah.
I don't think I would use this on Vader. Like, I think I would, like, on Commander Vader, I would rather have push and burst and throw, and then all your force slots are used up.
Yeah.
So like which one of those are you going to take away? And then on Operative Vader, there you probably have push and then maybe the disengage one for your other one. I'm not sure.
I don't think you need disengage. If
Well,
you got
you
push.
don't need both. You're right, but
Yeah.
you probably still have push and throw on them because like
Yeah, I mean his range to attack, like the scatter, is so
his
much
natural
less
range to attack is
meaningful these days.
exactly.
Yeah,
So yeah, I
yeah, I don't know. I think there are a lot of hoops to jump through here for what I would describe as a marginally
yeah. So
okay-ish
I'm gonna
effect.
give it a C, but literally only for Dooku.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the D/F category on this one.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it looks better than it typically will be.
Yeah.
Okay, hatred. 8 points. And as a free action, you can just suffer 3 wounds. If you want to, over the course of 2 turns, if you want to just like kill yourself with hatred, you're literally allowed to do that. Why not? And this brings up, boy, this card actually brings up sort of like rough comparisons with Mace Windu, actually. So when this unit makes a melee attack, it may upgrade one of its attack dice for each wound token it has. And by the way, you can do that for the entire game. So that's cool. So yeah, like this is an interesting one. Like obviously the very first thought that people are going to have is both versions of Maul and Savage Press, right?
Yes.
Because those guys with Savage, it's actually with both Savage and CIS Maul, it's especially nice because if you have this on there, then you don't need to use command card hoops to get to your Juyo zone, which is a huge thing, in my opinion anyway, for CIS Maul.
Oh, it's gigantic.
It's enormous for him,
yes,
right?
And he already, like, he's not really taking refreshable force upgrades generally.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
the most part. So this one that again doesn't require Master of the Force to repeat the effect, but okay.
And so like I kind of feel like this is stapled to at least CIS Maul, but also probably him and Savage. Like, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also stapled to Fifth Brother.
I agree. It's also stable to Fifth Brother. It actually might also be. This one's maybe a little bit more arguable, but Shadow Collective Maul, because he's at least walking around with one wound token all the time anyway.
I think
it's not as required on him because he has the wounded one keyword.
I think it depends on like
his Geo is always active.
What you can afford with him as far as like points wise. Upgrading one attack die for each wound you have. Like, the good thing about this card is that it allows you to suffer a free wound when you need it, right?
Yes.
The upgrading attack dice is just kind of like icing on the cake. It is a little expensive for this effect, I'm gonna be honest.
I mean, but
it's not a bad effect. I do think that Maul and Fifth Brother, I don't think we know how much Savage is. They're already kind of in the expensive category. In my opinion, I still think Maul less so, I guess now.
Maul less so. Fifth Brother with this is 105.
Yeah.
And I do think that this, for like the first time in Legion 2.0, makes Fifth Brother with this an actual consideration. It's not a huge consideration, but like you.
So what is his dice pool with 2 wounds? Because you have to give him 2 wounds, right? Like that's just
So it's 3 black 2 red with Pierce 1 and Ram 2.
So it's probably 5 Pierce 1 most of the time.
Yeah, it's basically gonna be 5 Pierce 1 most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like a slow Bo-Katan that can't attack twice.
Yeah. And then like after you do that attack, he is just like, he is immune pierce, but he's just like, all you need to do is get 3 hits on regular red saves and then he's just dead. And so it's sort
Four
of
hits,
like,
right?
oh, sorry, it's 4 hits. You're right, because he's starting 6 health. I forgot about that. Um, so it's like a thing. I mean, 105 is
I mean, you're essentially. I mean, that's the thing that I think is like kind of hiding behind the door here is like, y- we are reducing all of these units' health by at least one, in some cases two.
yeah,
You
and
know,
the
like
the the thing of the reason why Maul and Savage are the very first thoughts is because they, I feel like, were more appropriately costed to be built into getting better with wounds anyway.
I don't think we
Whereas
have Savage's cost yet.
yeah, that's fair. So we don't know for sure with Savage, but at least his unit card, Juyo, if you compare what you get with Juyo compared to what you get like for Enrage, um, is like so much better for the Maul and Savage piece than it is for Fifth Brother. That like they are getting more out of this card, and especially when you consider the fact that if you have a CIS Maul with 4 wounds, uh, that you're rolling 8 reds on melee attacks, like, or
No,
sorry,
you're
sorry,
right. It's
not
only
not 8
four
reds.
reds,
You're
four
you're
black,
rolling four reds, 4 black. My bad.
and you have
Um,
tenacity, so it's 5 red, four
yeah, and
black.
then you have tenacity. So, like that's a pretty good pull right there. Um,
Yeah, and I guess honestly, Fifth Brother probably also has tenacity, so that pool is actually like 3 red, 3 black, Pierce one. Because
yeah,
if you're putting
so
hatred
that's a good point.
on,
That's a good point.
you're definitely
Yeah,
taking
you would
tenacity.
have
Like,
tenacity for sure.
so yeah, I guess that's maybe a little bit more reasonable. It is like still kind of pricey and pretty glass cannony, but
Yeah.
you know,
And sure, why not add to it, Mike, is that you could give him Strong the Force so that he can have independent dodge to make block happen.
oh
I don't know.
man, we're really going
We're
deep.
just
We're gonna have a Fifth Brother that's almost as expensive as Jedi Knight General.
you got to spend money to make money, Mike. So yeah, like again, there's only a few units where I would think about this, which is like the Geo guys and maybe Fifth Brother.
It's funny because a lot of the dark side users, like Vader and Dooku and stuff, like
they're just rolling red dice anyway,
it's
so they
like
get
it's just
absolutely
like
nothing out of this card.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Uh, I don't think Asajj wants to be spending her slots on this.
I also don't think
She only has
Asajj
5 health
for the
anyway.
wounds to
Yeah, exactly. But for those units that can use it, I would give it. It's weird because for CIS Maul, I give it like a triple S, and
Sure.
probably for Savage, I would also give it a triple S, is my guess. And then these other ones is like kind of a B. So I'm just going to give it an A, but only use it on those units is basically what I would say.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty narrow generally.
Yeah, but for those units, like especially CIS, like CIS Maul just got a lot better with this card.
Oh, for
in
sure.
my opinion.
For sure.
Because being forced to use that last at the beginning of the game sucked.
Yeah.
In order to activate GM. Now you don't have to. Okay, Force Absorb, another light side one. When 5 points when an allied unit within range 1 of this unit defends against a ranged attack, during the modify attack dice step, you may exhaust this card. If you do, cancel 1 hit result in the attack pool, and at the start of this unit's activation, you may ready this card. So this is basically it's a half force barrier that comes back on its own and that you can use on yourself. And so those are like the major differences between those two things. Force Barrier is a card that I basically never see used in the modern game, but this one, like being able to use it on yourself and coming back on its own, is definitely a big change as far as that goes. And so like my first reaction when I look at this is that this is a card that is like kind of useful all the time-ish. This is only against range attacks. So that is, again, for Jedi, as soon as you're like enmeshed in melee, this no longer is useful at all. And so that part is kind of rough, although you can still protect your buddies that are getting range attacked, I guess. What do you think of this, Mike?
I don't know. I think it's really bad. I just yeah. The this doesn't really do much from like it's like you can give a unit low profile one time like a turn it's yeah. I dice pools just don't care about this anymore. In my opinion. I don't
I
know.
mean, when we talked about that helping hand thing, like the examples where we brought up where that would be useful would be on a nimble dodge unit specifically,
Yes.
because in that situation you're getting multiple
Iter-
canceled hits out of it.
yeah, yeah.
You're repeating it, whereas this one, you can't ever get that sort
No.
of effect. And the only added thing you get, because like it still has the range 1 restriction, the only added thing you get is that you can use it on yourself.
I think
Um,
I think the only way that I would consider taking this card is that if I already took Force Barrier
sure.
and I just wanted more. I'm gonna be honest, I don't take Force Barrier and I don't want more.
Yeah.
Neither do I want half a Force Barrier. Like if you're gonna if you're like, I really want to do the Force like defense thing,
Yeah.
just do the Force defense thing. Don't go like halfway down the Force defense thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
additionally, like when it comes to like defending, I think when you need this effect is when like the 10 to 12 dice melee unit rolls up on you and it's like not helpful. Like
Yeah.
this doesn't assist you in that situation. So yeah, I don't know.
I give this a D, and maybe I'll end up being wrong on this, but I just don't think that you're often going to want to spend your force slot on this.
Yeah,
I think there's just better stuff to do.
I'm in the F category. I think oftentimes, like, I think Force Reflex is like often gonna be better than this card.
Well, yeah, we're going to get to that one soon.
Yeah.
All right. 5 points. Despair. Enemy units engaged with this unit downgrade one of their defense dice when defending. Additionally, after this unit makes a melee attack, each other enemy unit within half range of this defending unit gains 1 suppression token. So we talked about terror before, which is still hilariously, I think, a really terrible card just because of the restrictions that it has on that. And so this is sort of if you are engaged, it's doing something.
Man, when we go from 5-point lay side upgrade to 5-point dark side upgrade, it's like, oh,
it's
wow.
it's a pretty big difference, huh? So I think we both think that this is actually pretty strong. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is like, I think the clause that matters here is the suppression clause.
Yeah.
There's some
It
like
is each other enemy unit, so
yes, but there's like some janky shenanigans you can do with like if your opponent has like a super squad and then you force push it and like cohere it weirdly, and then like you could actually blanket an area of like, you know, 12 inches with suppression tokens, if you like properly engineer that situation.
that's true.
Like
That's true.
there are some like weird, crazy, kooky stuff you can do with this. And like if you have, you know, let's say you are like on Inquisitor spam or whatever, which probably got at least a little bit better with this update. You know, you could have 3 users with this in your army realistically. You know, Vader gets in there, he like hits a super squad with something here, and then you just dump like 3 suppression tokens on a bunch of units. I don't know.
Or you could like literally melee attack a Wheelo tank, and you're not going to get any value out of downgrading their defense dice, but it's going to have a huge range, half range bubble.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it does require some setup, like you mentioned, and it's for that reason it's definitely best on the force push units. Like we were talking about Dooku a second ago about how force drain might have some utility on him, but given that this actually creates extra suppression tokens on top of the suppression tokens you're already dumping, like maybe this and is cheaper, that maybe this one is just like better anyway.
It also just
Plus,
helps him to outright kill
it helps him kill enemy
targets.
Jedi. Exactly. And so, you know, if you were counting on the poison token doing that, instead you could just give them an extra white defense die and then you're like probably just getting an extra wound out of that anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe this is just better. And then this is one to where I could see Vader taking this instead of, like, I could see maybe Operative Vader taking this instead of Saber Throw.
Yeah. I think that would be fair. I mean, I do think that this effect, realistically, if you combine this effect with Master of Evil,
yeah,
everything on that point that is in a Courage 2 bubble is panicked, other than the unit you attacked.
You're engaged with,
which you can probably find a way to demoralize.
Yeah.
Frankly.
This is strong. It's also worth mentioning that because this happens after the unit makes a melee attack, that there are situations to where you could be using pull the strings to make this trigger twice in a round. So, those, even though the Tarkin Vader list is, in my opinion, a little bit janky, this would be, I feel like those types of players that want to do the Tarkin Vader thing at all will actually love this, because it just like gives you extra stuff.
Hot take.
Yeah.
I think Tarkin Fifth Brother might actually be a more economical.
Interesting.
Way to, like, it's obviously less good, right? But
Timu Tarkin Vader.
But it is like less than half the cost.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. But yeah, like I think we're on the same page. I think that this is a solid A.
Yeah. No, this upgrade's great. I think the only issue this upgrade is going to run into is that, like, I think a lot of the burst of speed, force push stuff, unfortunately, I don't think this update solves a ton of the mandatoriness of those things. In that, like, if you were mandatorily taking force push before, you don't just get to not take a force upgrade. It's got to be force push, or it's got to be like force agility, and like those are the only two things that go in that slot.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
So a good one to consider. All right, and then this is the last one, Mike. Force enhanced defense. At the start of this unit's activation, it may this unit gains shielded 1, and it's 5 points. At the start of this unit's activation, it may flip up to one of its inactive shield tokens. So this one is extra weird to me, because it's like, I mean, how is this different from that force absorb thing? That this can cancel crits is like one way that is different. But I mean, and also that you can't give your pals the benefit of having them remove the hit. Like, you can only use it on yourself, obviously.
Well, it is relevant that you can have both.
You can have both, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, but
yeah,
it is a thing you could do, I guess. This could stack with like some sort of, personal shield generator upgrade that you might be able to get in the future, or something to that effect.
Because what this doesn't do is it doesn't give you recharge.
It does not give you recharge.
Which means that, if you like taking a recover action, doesn't do anything for you, and it sort of by default has, I forget the name. Oh, it has, what is it? Generator 1 is the Deca thing where it automatically comes back.
This essentially
kind of
has
that by
Generator
default.
1. Like, it's like,
exactly.
You do have, it is,
the timing is different.
It is timing relevant. Like, you do have to like activate to get it back. As opposed to Generator to just
comes back at the end of the round. It's better.
For sure. I mean, I think there are situations. I don't know. I think you just take the light side of Absorb 1.
I think in pretty much every situation that I can think of, like the only time that I could see this would be on, again, it's like the generic Jedi General that people aren't really playing anyway, because I feel like they tend to have extra force slots hanging around, that you could put both of those on them to make them really, really tanky.
To say that it's really
But
tanky is, I'm not sure fair.
sorry, to make it more tanky, and then you're combining it, like, I don't know, if you put this and clairvoyance and force absorb all on one character, would it be tough to kill them? Yes, but what is your opponent's incentive to kill them anyway? Not that high, because it's
They've
not
got a
actually doing
crappy
all that
melee
much by
pool and
existing on
can't
exactly.
mess with your units.
So it's one of those things to where this also relates to the Mace Windu thing about, like, yes, Mace Windu in some situations is hard to kill, but why do I care that he's hard to kill? Is the question that I would ask you, dear listener.
Tired of getting gaslit.
Yeah, there's some Mace apologists out there, Mike, and I've already said publicly on our Discord that they will not be tolerated. And of course, I'm joking by saying that. I did have to silence Brian Bear because he was being extra toxic. I had to put him in timeout on our Discord a couple weeks ago. But I wouldn't do that to anybody else. So I'm mostly joking about the fact that Mace Windu apologists won't be tolerated on our Discord. Anyway, Mike, this is all to say I think Force Enhanced Defense is an F. Where do you come down?
Yeah, I mean,
This is just a bad card.
Yeah, it's bad. I guess one of the major differences between this and the Absorb one is that you gotta take this on a dark side user.
That's true. I would rather
does
put
it matter? No.
pretty much anything. I would, on pretty much every dark side user, if I couldn't think of anything else that I want to put on them, I would put Force Agility. If I was still wanting to think of something, I would put Despair on there.
No doubt.
And then, yeah, where would Force Enhanced Defense come in? Nowhere is pretty much the answer.
Yep.
So I give it a solid F. So them's the cards. I do want to like take advantage of the fact that we did get sent these cards ahead of time, and so for those that are considering buying this pack, I wanted to list out the cards that we already know about, of which there's one copy each of these for like all of these. So keep that in mind also for whatever it's worth. And I'm just going to name out the cards that we already know about that also come in this packet: Spotter Uplink, Terror, Tranquility, Clairvoyance. Then 4 of the characters that are already legal, which is Callus, Rex, Andor, and Kraken. Those are the 4 that got revealed in November. And then Door Gunners, Trusted Agent, Dug In, Imperial March, Strike and Fade, Strike Team Leader, Mission Objective, and Extra Supplies. So for the relatively uncommon player these days that is spending a lot of time worrying about having copies of paper copies of all of their upgrade cards, which I will say is not somebody that I've been since July.
We gotta get away from the paper upgrades, man. It's just like it is
July of 2024.
You know what the worst part is?
I've not been in that zone.
The worst part is that, like, when somebody shows up with their upgrades printed out, because the cards are so big now, it takes up like an entire table. Like they lay out all their cards, and it's just like it is like 4 feet by 3 feet of like just mess.
But this is why I'm glad that we're out of the zone about worrying about art on these cards at all.
Sure.
Because I would rather pay for art that I would actually see, which would be on the unit cards and command cards.
Sure.
And the art's been great, honestly, ever since 2.6 started. It's been even better than it was before, in my opinion.
I agree. The art that we have seen and gotten has been great. Yes.
Yeah, it's all fantastic. And so I think that should be focused in the place that we see it.
Yeah.
And I'm also therefore glad that, like, the most important place, in my opinion, to get alt arts is command cards, because those are the things that you literally see all the time.
Command cards, if you want to put art on battle cards, go for it. Because
battle cards, yeah, that'd be a cool one. Yeah.
But
unit cards is like come second, because even those, like, you see fewer and fewer of these days.
I just print them out, with all the erratas.
Yeah,
and
I print them out.
It's just like,
exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah, but in any case, for those that do care about the cards that come in the pack, that is the list of them. And so that brings us to, is this pack, like, this is the weird question, Mike, is that because most people are just going to be printing their stuff,
Yeah.
like, is this pack a must buy in almost all situations? Like, to me, like, this is weird, Mike, because the answer is like kind of technically no,
I'll
because
be real.
these upgrades exist.
I'm not gonna purchase this, and I'm gonna play with all the stuff, and nobody's ever gonna. Yeah,
This is an uncomfortable. This is like an kind of an uncomfortable thing to say, but I feel like we should be honest in terms of saying it,
I
which is that it, unless maybe they're going to be like doing audits at Worlds, which is a huge maybe, and I don't even think that that's going to happen there.
I
Because if past is prologue, nobody was doing that at the most recent Worlds. We were
yeah
both there,
I
but you don't technically need to buy this
yeah I
in order to use these upgrade cards.
no, and I think that we're like way past the point of like the we are way past like the print and play unboxing. Like it is way so far out of the toothpaste bottle that I don't think you can really put it back in at this point.
I agree
There
with that.
there are like multiple cards that exist in the game that are actually not um obtainable. Like there are not physical copies of cards that exist in the game right now. Um and
Yeah, that's right.
like all the specific Mando clan cards do not exist. Like you cannot actually, they're not in any box anywhere. And maybe they will be in the future. I don't know. But
Yeah.
like,
Remember at the beginning of
close
2.6 when we were,
formation here. Like this
yeah,
card doesn't exist. Like there's no hard copy of it. Which is fine. I don't have a problem with it. I actually
yeah,
think that just moving to a print and play model, and like allowing people to buy the card packs that want to is fine. Um, I think that actually allows. I think that's good for the customer. I also think that's good for AMG. I think it allows them more agility on being able to release card packs like virtually sooner to us when they think it's needed and required or convenient or whatever. I think it allows them to make edits and not feel super terrible about it because they're not everybody has like required to have hard copies to like go out.
yeah,
You're not required to go out and buy hard copies and then 6 months later the cards aren't good anymore because the text is literally different. And I think it is important, I think, in today's age to like acknowledge the fact that that happens way more often because balance is more targeted.
yeah,
Just because it's a game that exists in 2026 where like tons of people play and edits get made all the time. I think that's fine. Um,
yeah. And like if you took that example to like its most extreme, you would be like, for instance, if you're running a droid army and you wanted to have every possible copy of this bad boy right here, like, are you going to be buying 10 upgrade card pack twos? Like, no, of course not. Like,
like it's not even
uh,
practical.
yeah. So yeah, like I think that there are still going to be people who want hard copies of these, and we're not, like, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I would say don't. The thing that I would really say is, like, don't try to pressure yourself into buying multiple copies of this at all ever. The most useful card in here is a unique one, and so if you are going to be the person that at least wants one copy out of your cards, then sure, go ahead and get it for sure. But the most important thing is that the game is going to change a fair bit on August 14th. I believe that is also 1 week after the generic Mandos become legal. And so once we hit mid-August, we're going to be taking another like big leap in terms of the available stuff going on in the game. And I think that it'll be one of the bigger kind of meta leaps because of the combination of Mandos and these upgrade cards. And it'll be interesting to see where things land. I don't think that it's going to change the landscape of what lists are good. Generally,
I'm not sure I agree there.
you think you think that this is going to do enough for long range shooting lists that they're going to get better just from the dice upgrade standpoint?
I think between fire control and adaptive combat network or whatever it's called, and a couple of the other offensively geared upgrades in this pack, I actually think that we are headed towards a meta where your units are dying. We're already in a meta, I think, where games are being decided on turns 2 and 3. I think it's gonna just be like significantly more of that. And
Let's take one specific example right now for the regular factions, and we'll talk about some of Ragnar's stats on next week's episode, just to kind of give a little bit of a preview of where we think the meta is going to shift to and where it's coming from. Right now, the rebels are still the winningest standard faction.
yeah.
Do you think that this is actually going to push CIS back ahead of them because they're going to be able to take advantage of both fire control and adaptive combat network in order to make their long range shooting really, really good?
My suspicion is that fire control might be at its worst in CIS. With the normal units that CIS is presently taking. Like, I think it's like generally like not great on B1s. I think it's not. It's like, it's not great on Geos. It's like, I think there are a few units in CIS that would benefit from it, whereas like I think entire Empire and Rebel armies are like, give me fire control, please and thank you. I think it's probably at its best in Empire, where you have like Shores who are like probably like split firing and stuff, and Storms that are split firing, and those armies kind of want to stay together already. And Rebels, I think, well,
they do spread out more.
They tend to like the spready objectives, right? And I think that they can still utilize it, but I think it's probably in the like we're only hitting it on like 4 or 5 units a turn as opposed to 10. Still very good, to be clear. I think Republic also will be utilizing it, but I think it's a question of like, I'm just like not sure it like is enough to. They just don't have enough units to utilize it in the same way, I think, is one of the big things.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
I will say that like the first thing, I haven't really spent a ton of time doing this yet, but I am going to be playing around with lists in CIS specifically that are able to take advantage of both adaptive network and FC and fire control.
I do think you can build a list that does that. It's just like very different, right?
Yeah, it's different, and it probably is, focused on things like Aquadroids and BXs in combination with strike teams.
Yeah.
Which are units that can take advantage of both of those items.
Yes, for sure.
In a pretty significant way.
Yes.
To get just like very reliable, very, very, very reliable ranged attacks at that point.
Yeah. I think like the Empire and Rebel list, you can sort of just like slot fire control in, and I think you're fine. But I do think Separatists have to do a little work to.
They have to do some work, but because of the network thing, is that they can get even more out of it if you do the work to put into it. So, like. And I don't know, that list might not be one that has Wheeled by Grievous in it.
No, I think it's got Wheeled by Grievous. I think it has some form of Grievous in it. Just to...
you think it's Grievous, Kalani, and then like maybe 1 or 2 super attacks.
Yeah, I do think you want to be able to kick the chain when it is clear that your opponent's not going to do it for you.
Yeah. So,
and I don't think there's a way to do it without Grievous right now.
Right, and so like maybe it's the sort of list that. Instead of my old version of the list that had Staps, is that it would like have BXs instead of Staps, and figure out the right balance when it comes to strike teams. And
It is funny that if you are able to pull this off, which is like really, really difficult to do, but if you got like Kalani into melee and then spun with wield like Greg at range one of him, that attack pool is like what, triple red, one white.
Yeah, that's right.
Like 10 times. I mean, like,
Hey.
we're living in Magic Christmas land, and if you get it off, like, I guess you deserve to win the game anyways. But it is a thing that is like technically possible.
There you go. That's the reason to use Kraken instead and just dive into melee with Kraken. And now, but yeah, the problem is getting that guy up there far enough so that Grievous is actually going to be able to do it.
I'm not saying it's
but
a
hey,
real thing. I just like,
Yeah, no.
technically it is a thing that could happen, you know.
But yeah, the game will be changing, and I think that probably next week we'll talk more about looking towards the future.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and get a game or two in with some of the new stuff. We'll see.
Try. We'll try and try some of these out in real situations just to see how messed up we can make it. But we should end the podcast. We've been going on for a bit.
It is getting close to bedtime.
So yeah, exactly. Getting past Mike's bedtime, especially. So we hope you enjoyed this emergency podcast,
which will probably just be our regularly scheduled programming this week, but a little early.
Yes, exactly. So, Mike, how do we land the plane?
Yeah, this has been the Notorious Scoundrels, Season 4, Episode 65. I'm Mike.
I'm Evan.
Stay fresh, cheese bags.
Control the Captain Rex. Take your aim tokens and put your helmet on. Fire control the Captain Rex. Commencing countdown, orders up. Check the token and may Yoda be with you. This is Fire Control, the Captain Rex. You've really found the upgrade. And the players want to know where you buried Kenobi. For here am I sitting in a clone army, far above the game. The whole faction is blue, and there's nothing I can do. Do ba do ba do ba do 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 ba do ba do ba do boo do ba do ba do ba do 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 ba do ba do ba do do.